Tonight, we won't force the mind to be quiet. We'll give it something light to hold, little Zen koans, tender questions that don't require answers. As you listen, let each riddle open like a night flower. If a thought arrives, greet it kindly. If nothing arrives, that's fine too. Feel your breath, in and out, drifting, spacious, unhurried. We begin. Night has settled kindly across the world, and the air feels clear, like water poured into a quiet bowl. You walk a small path where grass leans inward, where stones remember warmth from the day. Somewhere nearby, a dog turns in a circle on a doorstep and sleeps. From far away, a single car passes and fades. Above you, the moon hangs bright and mild, a lantern without a handle, a pearl without a string. At the edge of the path, rain has gathered in a shallow dip. It is no more than a puddle, no grand lake or river, just a palm of water resting on the earth. Yet on this soft, breathless night, the puddle is a mirror. The moon arrives in it whole. A perfect round face appears in stillness, white and tender, trembling just enough to remind you that the world is alive. A small hand lifts into the air, a child's hand, eager and gentle. The finger points toward the pooled light. The quiet message is simple. The moon has been caught. The sky now lies in the ground. The world has folded like paper and placed itself at your feet. You step closer. The soles of your feet land without weight, and your shoulders drift lower as if untying small knots. Kneeling is easy. Breathing is easy. Every motion suggests less effort, less reaching. The smell of wet soil rises, clean and familiar. A coolness touches your skin and stays. When you lean over the water, your face hovers beside the moon. Two travelers look down into a small, bright country and see themselves welcomed there. The surface of the puddle is almost still. A moth skims over, touches once and moves on. Rings travel outward and smooth themselves into clarity again. Nothing is in a hurry. Above, a faint breeze moves through leaves, and each leaf agrees to sway. Your breath settles into that same rhythm, upward, downward, like a soft tide that never needs to announce itself. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Warmth spreads through the chest. The belly loosens and lowers. The spine stacks itself without asking for attention. Here is the moon, floating in a spoon of water. Here is the sky, lowering its face to the earth, a long embrace that requires no story. The child's delight spreads into your own eyes. The idea of catching the moon becomes simple play, a kindness the world offers to itself. The water never holds the real moon, yet nothing is missing. The moon never enters the water, yet nothing is absent. There is only light meeting clarity, presence meeting presence, and the soft agreement between them. Your mind notices how thoughts are like those moth ripples. They arrive, they widen, they smooth. One thought says, "This is beautiful." Another thought says, "This will pass." Another thought has no words at all, only a feeling like slipping into warm sheets. None of these thoughts require effort. They come and go without a push. The puddle doesn't chase the moth. The moon does not chase the puddle. Everything meets and separates in a gentle rhythm, and the meeting is enough. You relax your eyes and let the edges of the world blur. Your jaw releases. Your tongue rests softly behind your teeth. The muscles around your ears soften. The skin of your forehead widens like a window opening to the night air. You let your shoulders fall another fraction, and with that small descent, your breath becomes a little deeper. The ribs understand how to move without being told. Your body knows the way to the ground, the the way to stillness, the way to the easy weight of sleep, the way to being held by what holds all things. The child leans closer and cups both hands as if they were a cradle. The reflection sits inside that cradle for a heartbeat, bright and mysterious, then shatters into light when a finger kisses the surface. The sound is barely a sound. The sight is barely a sight. Yet the lesson is plain. The moon remains untouched. The water remains unbroken. Even in the break, there is no damage. Even in the ripple, there is no alarm. The world returns to itself at once. You let that understanding spread through your body the way warmth spreads through tea. When a thought stirs and lifts, you allow it. When it loosens and slips away, you allow it. When feelings flicker at the edges, something remembered, something hoped, something half-formed, you give them the same wide space. They are reflections. They are light playing on water. They do not need to be taken, kept, or answered. They can hover, glow, and fade, leaving the pool clear. You notice the small textures of the night that carry you deeper. A cricket draws a slow thread of sound and then rests. A leaf taps another leaf as soft as a fingertip. Somewhere, a window closes and hush falls back into place. Each detail arrives like a blanket corner tucked around your shoulders. You meet them with the same soft attention you give the moon. No grasping, no naming. Just that easy acceptance that feels like home. Kneeling, you bring one palm close to the water and feel the coolness lift without touching you. The skin of the hand tingles and then calms. Your wrist loosens. Your forearm grows warm and heavy. The elbow drops by a breath. The upper arm follows. Both arms now feel long and relaxed, as if time had lengthened them just enough to rest completely. Your hands fold in your lap, and they seem to learn a language older than words, the language of not needing to do anything. Your attention drifts to your neck. The muscles around the base of your skull soften. The sides of your throat feel open and clear. Each swallow is slow, easy, and complete. The tongue rests like a boat that has reached shore. Your chest widens with the next inhale. Your back spreads like a lake catching morning light. In your belly, warmth gathers and glows. The pelvis rests as if placed on a cushion. Your hips feel spacious, like doorways to a quiet room. Your legs release weight, becoming rooted yet light. Calves loosen. Ankles soften. The arches of your feet remember soft ground and agree to be held. In the puddle, the moon grows even steadier. Clouds move in the sky, but by the time they drift to this place in the water, they have already dissolved into nothing, clear upon clear. The child, seeing the world calm again, whispers something small and happy, then becomes quiet too, as if joining the puddle in its practice of stillness. You feel that practice in your own breath. The exhale is the surface smoothing. The inhale is the light arriving. With each breath, the mind becomes a bowl. With each breath, the bowl becomes simpler. Nothing extra, only enough. A small pebble lies by your knee. Without effort, without plan, the thought appears that it could be lifted and placed into the water. The thought then dissolves. It is not needed. The puddle does not ask to be stirred. The moon does not ask for proof of its reflection. The body understands this and does less again. The shoulders lower, a final half step. The chest eases. The breath carries you down a gentle slope into quiet ground. Memories slide by with the softness of drifting clouds. A window from earlier in the day, the scent of tea, someone's laugh, a line of sunlight on a table. Each arrives like a visitor who knows the house and needs no escort. Each steps lightly and moves on. The mind does not cling, The mind is a night sky that allows stars to appear and dim, without concern. In that sky, the moon continues. In that sky, the puddle continues. And in that sky, you continue, bright and whole, whether reflected or not. A tiny breeze crosses the surface. The moon stretches into a silver path and then gathers itself again. The child gasps and then smiles, learning that change can be gentle. You feel the lesson in your bones. Muscles let go, tendons stop trying. The heart beats in a slow, kind rhythm that belongs to the body's oldest wisdom. Every part of you seems to understand that nothing essential can be lost to a ripple. There is a sense that the ground is breathing with you. The earth receives your weight and gives you firmness in return. The night receives your attention and gives you peace in return. The small puddle receives the moon and gives you wonder in return. Nothing is forced. Nothing is bargained. This is just the way of meeting. This is the way a hand meets a hand, a face meets a pillow, a breath meets another breath. The meeting is complete. You allow your gaze to rise from the puddle to the real moon above. The same circle greets you, untroubled by distance. You notice how the body answers to it. The eyes soften, the ribs widen, the breath deepens and slows. Your whole frame becomes a reflection without a surface, a still water that needs no shape to be clear. Any tight thought that tries to curl inward uncurls. Any small ache that tries to call attention grows quiet, like a room after the lamp is turned down. When you look back to the puddle, the moon is still there, faithful and gentle. The child's hand is quiet now, resting on a knee, content with the knowledge that catching is not necessary for seeing, and seeing is not necessary for being with. You sit in the soft press of darkness, in the easy hush of a world that has nothing to prove. Breathing in, the body fills with cool air that knows the scent of wet earth. Breathing out, the body lets go and settles a little lower, like a leaf finding the ground. In this calm, the idea of a boundary feels thinner. Sky and water seem to share a single mind, a single patience. Light and I seem to share a single attention. Your breath and the night seem to share a single rhythm. All of it meets where you are sitting, without any need to be drawn together. The meeting is already true. The reflection is already complete. The quiet is already here. The puddle holds the moon as a gift that cannot be kept, and that is why it can be given again and again. Your body holds the breath the same way. It arrives. It stays just long enough. It leaves. The leaving makes room for more arrival. The circle has no sharp corners. The night continues, and you continue within it, easy and whole, as the light on the water smooths and smooths and smooths. Evening lays a gentle hand on the path, and the last of the light folds itself into the hedges. Gravel gives a soft, slow sound beneath your steps, the sound of rain remembered. Ahead, there is a wooden gate in a low wall of stone. It is simple, a calm rectangle of weathered planks, the grain like ripples on a pond, the color of tea with milk. Vines have braided themselves through the slats, not tight, not claiming, just resting where they found stillness. You arrive without hurry. Your breath arrives with you, unforced, faithful. You stand before the gate and notice how your body arranges itself. The shoulders know what gates have asked before. Lean, press, try. A familiar impulse rises in the hands, an old habit wearing a friendly face. The gate has no latch. There is no lock to lift, no metal to slide back with a satisfying click. There are no hinges, nothing to declare inside from outside, nothing to complain or creak. It simply stands there, a quiet piece of night, neither forbidding nor inviting, just present. You place the pads of your fingers on the wood. The surface is cool. It yields a little to your warmth, then keeps its own temperature. The smell of cedar lifts, resin sweet, like the memory of sunlight stored in grain. A cricket makes a neat stitch of sound in the grass and then pauses. Somewhere, a bird shifts in sleep with a soft rustle. From very far, the low bell of a distant hour hums through the air and dissolves. Your hands suggest a push. They do not need to be scolded for suggesting this. You feel the gentle pressure gather in forearms, the small enlistment of chest and jaw. The breath shortens by a fraction. The eyes narrow by a fraction. You notice these things kindly, the way you would notice a friend beginning to carry a bag too full. The wood does not move. There is nothing to resist. Yet the body is ready to resist anyway, to lean into an argument that never begins. When you stop pushing, space returns to the corners of your mouth. The jaw softens, the tongue loosens, the throat opens. You let your arms lower as if they've been thanked for their service and given the night off. The shoulders drift a little farther from the ears. The breath becomes longer through the nose, silkier on the way out. There is no ceremony to this. You are simply not pushing. You are not leaning on the world, and the world, feeling that absence, becomes lighter. The gate has no latch, yet you've known many latches. Some were made of words, must, should, hurry. Some were made of shapes in the chest, tightness like a fist, worry like a knot. Some were made of time, then and later, what if and why not? You feel them now as small echoes that unwind on their own when they are not gripped. Each exhale is a quiet unlatching. Each moment of not trying is a hinge that was never needed, disappearing by being seen. You look closely at the slats. Between them, you can glimpse a garden in shadow, a path curving to the left, pale stones that remember the day, a low bench under a tree that holds the sky in its leaves. The air beyond looks just like the air here. On both sides, the night keeps the same temperature, the same scent of green things at rest. You smile without meaning to, because something simple is telling its simple truth. The separation is thin as a thought. You lift your hand again, not to push, but to greet. Fingers rest against wood the way a petal rests against a petal. You wait. Nothing changes, and everything changes. With your next inhale, the ribs open like hands that have decided to hold nothing. With your next exhale, the space behind the breastbone widens the way a path widens when you take a step back and notice there's more room than you believed. Your attention lowers like a bucket into a deep well, bringing up clear water without effort. The water of not doing. The water of enough. Somewhere in you, a small intention takes off its shoes and sits down. You feel it as a release along the back of the neck, a lengthening through the spine, a settling of the lower belly. The mind adjusts its posture. Instead of leaning forward, it leans back into the chair of the moment. The chair fits perfectly. The seat is wide. The back is supportive. You notice how, when the mind sits, the world stands up on its own. The gate has no latch. That becomes a sentence the body understands, not a puzzle to solve. You breathe it like a lullaby you've always known. No latch, no lock, no hinges. The palms of your hands warm to the wood, then leave it. Your arms hang like ropes with no tension at the ends. Your hands, light as leaves, find each other and rest where the belly rises and falls. In that slow tide, a little tide pool of warmth forms and stays. A thought arrives like a visitor with very soft shoes, admitting that the gate may open in an unfamiliar way. Perhaps opening is not a motion of objects, but a change in the field of wanting. Perhaps opening is what the world does when you stop insisting it be different. Perhaps opening is simply seeing that the path was continuous all along, and that the idea of a barrier was a ripple on the surface of a clear pond. You take a single sidestep, barely more than a gesture, and the perspective changes. Through a different gap between the slats, the garden reveals more of itself. The gleam of a clay pot, the dark ribbon of damp soil, a pale flower whose fragrance arrives a heartbeat after you notice it. It smells of honey and distant rain. The breath follows the scent the way a moth follows light. Inhale, the chest is a gate that swings without hinges. Exhale, the ground receives you and gives back steadiness. What moved, the gate or your wanting? You don't need to answer. The question settles down beside you like a lantern placed on a stone. It casts a quiet circle of clarity that doesn't ask anything of you. Inside that circle, the latch you are holding in the mind slips from your fingers. There's a soft click that no one hears. The click belongs to the idea releasing the idea. Because you are not pressing, the wood in front of you becomes less wood and more evening. Because you are not forcing, the divide becomes less wall and more seam. Because you are not hurrying, time lays itself out long and smooth, and you can walk any length of it without leaving the place where you stand. The body understands this and grows even heavier in the right ways. Calves weightier, feet more in love with the ground, hips relaxed and generous. The lower back unafraid to be supported. Now the mind does the smallest thing it can do, nothing more than admit its own ease. The eyes softened. Notice how the edges of the planks blur into the dark. The ears pick up the thin silk of wind passing through the hedge. The skin registers a temperature that is neither cool nor warm, but precisely what is happening. In that precision, effort cannot find a place to latch. Effort wanders off, yawning, grateful. Without you touching it, the gate opens. Not outward, not inward. It opens by becoming transparent to your presence, the way a thought becomes transparent when it finishes thinking itself. One moment there is wood between you and the path. The next, there is only path. You do not mark the transition with surprise. It feels the way a sigh feels, inevitable and kind, as if the world had been waiting for your shoulders to drop that last millimeter. You step without stepping. The sole of the foot tastes the familiar language of gravel, syllables of small stones arranging themselves under your weight. The knee bends in thanks. The hip rolls forward like a wave traveling shoreward. The other foot accepts its turn with uncomplaining grace. The spine floats up through the crown as if length were a secret it had been carrying for you until now. Your hands remain easy, your jaw remains easy, your breath remains the tide of a harbour with no storms. The garden on the other side is the same night arranged in a different poem. A bench waits under a canopy of leaves that hold their own constellations of dew. The air carries mint from a crushed sprig somewhere, and the memory of heat from the day sun warmed in the stones. A narrow path curves out of sight, promising nothing, demanding nothing. Your feet understand promises that make no demands. They are old friends. You pause in the open. Pausing is the movement here. Your chest rises, then settles. The space above the heart feels like a window thrown open without effort. Cool air moves through and leaves everything fresh. The belly is wide water, the back a quiet shoreline. Thoughts, lighter now, stream by with the courteous speed of clouds. One says, "This is peace." One says, "You did nothing to get here." One says nothing, and its silence is the most eloquent of the three. Behind you, the gate is still there, or it isn't. The mind can hold either possibility and need not argue for one. If it is there, it rests as before, unlatched, unhinged, innocent. If it isn't, the path continues, unbroken, through a wall that was only ever the shadow of leaning. You feel no need to check. The body does not turn. The heart does not turn. Everything is already facing the right way. Vines drape from the arching hedge and almost brush your shoulder. You smell the green of them, the kind sweetness of plant breath at night. You reach this place by ceasing to reach. That is a sentence the muscles understand. Quadriceps unfurl a little more. Hamstrings let the bone be heavy and happy. The small muscles between ribs, usually busy with opinions, agree to go quiet. The throat feels like a stream whose rocks are well placed. A small moth discovers the lantern of your stillness and circles it once, twice, then settles somewhere you cannot see. The garden keeps its shape without needing to be held. The sky keeps its depth without needing to be measured. The mind keeps its open door without needing to explain. And if a hint of effort returns, a small lean toward an outcome, you feel it early and smile. It melts before it becomes a strategy. The breath carries it away like a leaf leaving a palm. You take one more step that feels like no step at all. The way dusk becomes night through increments too small for counting. The path curves. Pebbles speak their soft alphabet. Somewhere a drop of water lets go of a leaf and finds the ground with perfect accuracy. The accuracy of things that aren't trying. The accuracy of a gate with no latch. A heart with no hinge. A mind that opens precisely when it forgets to be a door. Night drifts in like the soft closing of a shoji screen, and the room becomes a simple place. A table of quiet wood. A kettle shaped like a small moon. A window holding a square of sky. The light is low and kind. The air has a hush that listens. You place your hands on the table and feel the grain run under your fingertips, gentle as ripples on a pond. Your shoulders let go of their day. Your breath arrives, slow and generous. The kettle breathes before it sings, first a hint of sound, then a thread, then the lightest murmur of water remembering mountains and rain. Steam rises and curls, an invisible brush making soft shapes in the room. You are not holding a cup. There is nothing in your hand. Yet a scent gathers at the edge of you. Green hills after rain, toasted edges of sunlight, a sweetness that belongs to earth and patience. Your tongue wakes with the memory of warmth. Your mouth waters without needing a reason. Flavor arrives before contact, like dawn arriving before the sun appears. Your jaw loosens. The corners of your lips soften into neutrality, then into the suggestion of a smile, the kind that doesn't move anything except the temperature of your face. The tongue settles wide. The roof of the mouth feels cool and clear. The throat opens as if a small door has unlatched itself. This is how the body tastes a future it trusts. This is tea without a cup. You lift the lid and listen to the quiet conversation inside the kettle. Tiny bubbles telling tiny stories that mean only one thing: ready. The lid returns to its seat with no clatter. The water no longer needs to prove anything. You measure leaves as if you are measuring seconds of ease. They fall with a soft, feathered sound, a little slide, a modest rustle that says, leaf, leaf, leaf. The leaves smell like the memory of shade. Your shoulders ease again, and with them, your breath finds a pace that fits tonight perfectly. If a cup were here, you would warm it. If a cup were here, you would pour. The room does not argue with absence. The room understands that presence can be carried on the back of scent. You lean closer, and the steam greets your face. Your eyelids grow heavier in that warmth, as though the skin there remembers a hand that once soothed you. Inhale through the nose, slow, silky, complete. The aroma touches the top of the palate as surely as liquid would. You taste green turning to gold. You taste a hillside turning to a path. You taste quiet turning into the body's language for yes. Your stomach sighs with relief, a soft, friendly pull. The diaphragm glides a little lower. The ribs widen like doors that were always meant to be open. You sit straighter without trying, the way a flame stands when there is no wind. Steam writes its unhurried script in the air. You read the words without needing letters. Rest, rest, rest. Water finds the leaves and the leaves answer with a soft release. There is no sound but a suggestion of rain in miniature, a haloing hush. You watch the colour move from leaf to water in slow kindness. Nothing strained, nothing forced. The liquid gathers depth the way evening gathers stars. One, then another, then a feeling of many more. Even now, your mouth tastes it. Even now, before anything touches your lips, flavour continues to bloom. It belongs to anticipation and memory braided together. It belongs to the way attention carries everything it meets. Your hands feel warm without holding anything. The palms tingle slightly, then settle. The wrists let go, then the forearms. The biceps follow, floating heavier toward the lap. Your neck lengthens by a breath. The back of your head feels supported by the space around it. A small wave of ease runs down the muscles on either side of your spine, washing away the grit of the day. You lift the kettle, and it is lighter than it looks. A thin ribbon of water bridges height and vessel. If there were a cup, it would be receiving this. Instead, the room receives it. You receive it through the senses that pour inward. The sound of pouring is its own comfort, hollow, then bright, then soft. Steam slips over your knuckles and leaves a trace like a warm exhale across the skin. Your breath mirrors it without trying. In, out, steam rises, tension falls. There is a small pause in which nothing is required. The leaves float, then sink. A tiny rotation of the pot is enough to set them drifting. Then stillness gathers them again. You watch and understand something without words. That steeping is what happens when contact is gentle and time is allowed. The body copies this. The mind copies this. Your thoughts steep in quiet, and the flavour that emerges is ease. You imagine the first sip without taking it. The tongue greets warmth. The lips shape themselves around kindness. The throat receives without argument. In imagination, the liquid passes and leaves warmth behind, a crescent of heat resting under the sternum. The chest glows faintly, a lantern turned low. The heart beats inside that glow, unhurried, content. The warmth spreads, finds edges, softens them. It moves up to the collarbones, down to the solar plexus, pooling somewhere bright and peaceful in the center. You rest in that pool. You set the kettle down and simply breathe. The steam continues its patient work, bringing the hillside to you in curls and sighs. Somewhere outside, a branch shifts, just once, like a punctuation mark placed where a sentence ends. The quiet returns, even more itself. Your ears discover tiny sounds they usually miss, the faint tick of the cooling stove, the soft settling of wood, the steady rustle of your own breath threading the room. The idea of a container loosens. Perhaps the tea is not waiting for the cup. Perhaps the cup is waiting for you. Perhaps the vessel is the mouth, the throat, the space behind the breastbone expanding with each inhalation. Perhaps the vessel is the attention itself, shaped like presence, shaped like yes. You feel the body as a warm bowl. You feel the breath fill in that bowl and empty in it. Easy tide, easy tide. You bring the pot close, not to pour, but to listen and to breathe. The fragrance becomes a landscape. You walk through it without moving, a path of straw and shadow, a leaf stroking your sleeve. The sun lifted and sifted through trees. The tongue tastes light bitterness, the kind that clears the corridors of the mouth and leaves them shining. Sweetness follows it, not sugar, but the sweetness of balance, of things being what they are and fitting together. Your shoulders have gone quiet now. The trapezius muscles, once busy with invisible bags, have set them down. The spaces above the shoulder blades feel warm, as though a soft cloth were laid there. Your upper arms are content to be heavy. The elbows find gravity agreeable. The forearms rest. The wrists rest. The hands rest. Fingers slightly curved in an old memory of holding, even though they are empty and perfectly satisfied. If you were to sip, the tea would travel. Since you are not sipping, the warmth travels anyway, carried on breath and imagination, which are faithful servants. It moves to the back body, the spaces between the shoulder blades, the long columns of muscle beside the spine. It melts the small stubbornness there. It moves to the lower back, smoothing the sheet of muscle as if a kind palm pressed there and waited. It moves into the belly, and the belly lowers, soft and unafraid. The diaphragm sliding like a silk curtain finding its place. There is a flavour that belongs to letting go. You notice it now, a roundness where sharpness used to be, a clarity where noise used to be. Your thought stream slows to the pace of steeping leaves. Ideas bob to the surface and then sink without drama. A memory rises, someone laughing earlier today, a patch of sunlight on the floor, the shape a cloud made that looked like something and then didn't. Each memory leaves a small brightness and then dissolves back into warm water. You could pour now. You could wait. Both feel right. The body has left the economy of either or. It leans into the wide hallway of enough. You tilt the pot and imagine the thin amber line, the small perfume that rises when liquid meets air. The first touch to the lip. You taste it again, this time more clearly, though nothing has touched the mouth. The mind realizes it can drink from scent, and the breathing pauses, not in holding, but in appreciation. Then the exhale slips out, long and kind. The warmth at the chest has grown. It radiates in slow circles, like rings moving outward from a pebble dropped into a lake. The first circle touches the edges of the lungs. The next reaches the shoulders. Another reaches the throat and jaw. Another reaches the face. Another, the scalp. And then downward, through the diaphragm, along the waist, into the hips, down the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, the soles. Even the toes feel included. Even the small bones say yes. Steam thins. The air becomes clear again. And in that clarity, the scent left behind feels more specific. Grass folded between fingers. Warm stone after rain. The inside of a wooden drawer gently opened. You can tell the tea is ready, but readiness has no urgency. Time here is not an instruction. It is a lake with no wind on it, reflecting night. You let your eyes half close. The lids rest halfway like a gate that no longer has a purpose. Vision softens enough that the edges of the room blur into friendliness. In that softness, the colour in the pot seems deeper, as if the liquid draws light into itself. Heat rises as a suggestion and touches the skin of your cheeks. You notice a quiet happiness that does not need a story to belong to. It springs from the same root as the tea, leaf, water, time, attention. The body understands how to keep this. It keeps it by not holding. The warmth spreads, and you do not chase it. When it moves, you let it move. When it lingers, you let it linger. The breath flows through the middle of it, threading warmth on a string of air. Every inhalation gathers, every exhalation releases. And between them there is a small bright doorway where you rest without moving, aware without doing. The kettle, now quieter, contains the hush of a finished song. The pot sits like a small moon on the table. The leaves have given what they came to give and still look like themselves. You learn from them how to offer and remain, how to soften and stay whole. Your hands still empty, no longer wish to be filled. They are the cup and the saucer and the tray. And because nothing is placed in them, they can carry everything. You breathe once more, slower, deeper. The setting of the inhale is a hillside. The release of the exhale is warm tea traveling through the chest, even if no liquid moves. The center of you glows, and the glow is gentle. It does not flash or call attention. It simply makes it easy to be here. Your shoulders hover in that glow. Your heart beats inside it. Your mind rests beside it, like a cat in a sunbeam. Steam has become memory. Scent has become warmth. Warmth has become you. In this room that holds so little and gives so much, you sit with tea that tastes itself through you, needing no cup, finding every vessel it needs in breath, in attention, in the simple, effortless widening of your chest. The night leans in a little closer, approves, and grows even quieter. Evening gathers in slow layers, like soft blankets pulled up over the shoulders of the earth. Far above the tree line, the mountain holds its shape against a sky rinsed clear by the day's last wind. The air is thin and clean, humming with a quiet that feels alive. Granite smells faintly of sun that has just let go. Patches of snow rest in creases, like old letters folded and kept. Alpine grasses lean in unison as the breeze passes, then stand again, simple and faithful. A single feather appears, small enough to disappear if you blink, pale enough to borrow the color of the sky. It has been traveling for some time, loosened from a wing that beat the high currents, released by a bird that trusted the air to carry what it could not keep. The feather turns once, twice, 3 times, a leaf of light reading the wind's handwriting. Its movement is deliberate in its softness, a language of lightness. Each slow spiral is a breath. Each breath is an unhurried yes. The mountain waits. Waiting is what it knows. It has a patience that taught rivers to draw letters along its sides, a stillness that lets lichens paint maps of color on its skin. Sage, rust, silver. Time has pressed and lifted and weathered, and still the mountain stands, not stubborn but listening. The kind of listening that does not lean forward. The kind that welcomes what arrives because it is already wide enough. The feather lowers until it hovers above a ledge, warm from the day. For a long moment it seems to float without moving, a boat stalled on a glassy sea. Then a breeze completes a sentence. The feather comes to rest. It touches down so lightly that the grass beside it offers a courtesy bend, and a tiny rivulet changes its glitter by the smallest degree. In that faintest shift, the mountain bows. Your shoulders understand. They have heard this story before. They were taught to hold everything up, to lean into tasks, to brace against weather that has not yet arrived. Now they are invited into another instruction, the instruction of the feather, the instruction of a bow that is not defeat, the instruction of kindness that moves downward and finds strength in doing so. Feel the tops of your shoulders release, as if someone gently smoothed the fabric there. The breath answers with a longer exhale. Heat leaves without haste. Space returns. The feather weighs almost nothing. The bow is almost everything. It is not caused, it is offered. The mountain meets the feather, not with force, but with presence, and presence is a kind gravity. It draws the body downward into the safety of itself. Your neck elongates easy, the base of the skull softening. The jaw slackens with respect, not sleepiness, though sleep will come as a friend to respect. The tongue rests so there is room in the mouth for quiet to gather. Close to the rock, the world is full of small lives. Ants caravan through a sun-warmed crack. A beetle pauses, unsure if the feather is shade or cloud. A cushion of moss holds dew that was not there a moment ago and will be there again tomorrow, though never the same. The mountain lowers, if lowering can be called a change in the quality of attention. It accepts the feather the way the earth accepts a footstep, by becoming more itself. Your backbone learns from this. Each vertebra nods once toward the one below, as if thanking it for its carrying. The nod is tiny, the way alpine flowers bow to evening, barely visible unless you are looking with the heart as well as the eye. The shoulders follow, drifting a breath closer to the ground. The chest does not collapse, it settles. The sternum floats like a small raft on calm water. The belly loosens and warms. The hips release their quiet grip on the day. Knees unbutton. Ankles remember circles they learned as a child and relax back into belonging. High above, the bird continues on, untroubled by what it has lost, because nothing essential is lost when lightness is shared. The feather lies where it lies, a single pale stroke on the mountain's vast canvas. The mountain's bow is not visible on any map, measurable by no instrument, yet everything nearby recognizes it. The grass leans a fraction longer. The stream speaks in a lower voice. Even the air seems to settle its feathers. You breathe in as if taking the high blue into your ribs. You breathe out and something in you bows, not to anyone, not to anything, a bow that is simply the shape of relief, the shape of finally agreeing with how held you are. Feel that agreement spread into the small muscles between the ribs, those diligent helpers that often forget they can rest. Let them rest. The back widens as if a curtain were drawn open and darkness was found to be a room rather than a void. Granite remembers fire. It remembers rivers of stone that cooled into certainty. It remembers frost that made 1,000 quiet arguments and won them all, not by force, but by returning, returning, returning. The mountain's kindness has been practiced for ages. It knows that strength and softness are not opposites. It knows that to bow is not to surrender what you are. It is to meet what is with the fullness of what you are. Your heart learns this as it beats. Slower now, deeper now. Each beat a bell with no striker. Wind moves through the pass like a monk sweeping a courtyard. Dust lifts and settles. Your breath follows that rhythm, sweeping the body from crown to soles. Across the forehead, the sweep is a cool cloth. Around the eyes, the sweep is the easing of corners. Over the cheeks and ears, it is a hand that says enough, enough. Down the throat, the sweep is a river carving an easy bed. Across the collarbones, it is a gull skimming calm water. Over the shoulders, the sweep remembers the feather and the mountain and chooses their story again. On the ledge, the feather flutters once, a tiny acknowledgement. The mountain answers by deepening its quiet. Deep quiet is not silence. It is fullness without friction. It holds the insect's footfalls, the waterfall's far thread, the brief star that scratches a silver sentence across the sky and is gone. Even the spaces between sounds seem friendly. You rest inside that friendliness. The The mind, used to bracing, hears there is nothing to brace for. It sets down its tools. It sits with you. It watches a feather and a mountain share a moment of perfect proportion. Once, long ago or never, a monastery bell echoed somewhere below these slopes. The rock caught that note and kept an aftertaste of it. You feel it like a memory below your sternum, a roundness of sound that remains even when nothing is ringing. The bow of the mountain seems to tune you to that note. The breath passes through the tuning and comes out clearer. The exhale lengthens further, trailing a ribbon of ease behind it. The skin of the shoulders warms, as though sunlight remembered found a way back through the evening air. The feather's barbs are a structure of devotion, each tiny filament holding space for air, each space holding lift. Weight and lift are partners. Kindness is what invites them to dance without stepping on each other's feet. Your body is invited to that dance. The sternum floats, the spine rises, the shoulders descend, the face softens. Not a performance, not an exercise, just the simplest choreography of being here, now, with gravity as a gentle teacher. Night tips more fully into the valley. A first star appears, then another, then 5, then a pattern that once meant something to shepherds, and still whispers guidance to anyone who looks up long enough. The mountain bows to them too, by allowing their light to touch its stone without interference. Receiving is its own bow. You practice this the way the mountain does. Let the air come, let the air go, let warmth arrive, let it move on. Let the body be a place where movement is welcomed and nothing is trapped. A small stream by your feet loosens a knot of sound, and the water seems to laugh once quietly, then settle back into its endless sentence. The feather shifts a hair's width. The mountain agrees again, and the grasses nod like a congregation that understands a sermon without words. Your spine feels like that meadow, each blade a muscle relaxing, the whole field becoming a single listening surface. If a thought rises, it is a bird landing briefly. When it lifts, the grass smooths behind it. Imagine placing a hand flat on warm stone. The palm meets a steadiness that tells the truth without speaking. From the heel of the hand to the pads of the fingers, a message travels. You do not have to hold everything. The ground is holding you. You are free to bow. You are free to soften. You are free to be immense by not resisting. The message climbs the arm in a friendly way. Elbow loosens, bicep softens, shoulder lowers, collarbone smiles its thin, quiet smile. The message crosses the breastbone and spreads like tea steeping inside the chest. Far down in the valley, lights appear like embers caught in little glass lanterns. They do not trouble the mountain. They are part of the night's jewelry. The sky continues to darken until the stars seem to be stitched into it. Each star a needlepoint of distance. Each distance made intimate by the way your breath carries it inward. The mountain bows to the sky by offering contour. The sky bows to the mountain by offering light. The feather bows to both by becoming a note in their shared chord. The back of your neck grows warmer, then easier. The muscles along the spine, those ropes that so often tighten to pull you upright, now realize they are strands in a harp, and the wind is playing a lullaby along them. The music is soft but unmistakable. Hammocks of muscle cradle the shoulder blades. The braids of tension under the armpits unweave. The tender architecture of the throat stands with natural dignity. No extra effort, just the vertical kindness that happens when nothing is pushed. If memory arrives, a conversation, a list, an unfinished ache, let it be the feather. Watch how even the mountain of your life bows without losing itself. The memory touches, stirs a small wind, rests, moves on. The mountain remains mountain. The feather remains feather. You remain the spaciousness that holds both, the kindness that allows each to be exactly what it is for as long as it needs and no longer. Cold deepens, but not harshly. It sharpens edges and makes sounds carry farther. Somewhere, a fox places its paws on stone in a perfect sequence and disappears in a line no one will read by morning. The feather sleeps without sleeping. The mountain keeps its vigil with the ease of something that does not know how to do anything else. Your breath joins that vigil. In through a door you do not see. Out through a door you will never need to find. Each passage polishing the hinge of the heart until it opens without squeak or effort. There is a notion that strength means refusing to bend. Here, strength is the art of precise bending. The feather teaches precision in lightness. The mountain teaches precision in depth. Your body studies both and passes the lesson around. Scalp loosens from skull. Temples soften. Eyelids float half a leaf lower. The corners of the mouth forget their lines and remember their curves. The chin releases its forward tilt. The throat grants safe passage to the air without toll. All of it a bow, continuous and unbroken. Clouds may come later, bringing a patient snow that will lay white hands on stone and feather alike. Snow bows by covering, rain bows by entering. Sun bows by leaving and returning, leaving and returning. The cycle is full of inclinations toward and away, and every gesture is a kind of courtesy. You are inside that courtesy now. The heart touches the world lightly. The world lowers itself to meet the heart. Nothing is demanded. Nothing is withheld. The feather does not ask to be important. The mountain does not ask to be admired. Between them, a ceremony continues that began before names and will continue when names are resting. Your shoulders are participants in that ceremony. They know the moment to lower and they know the moment to stay, and both moments are gentle. The breath officiates, slow and trustworthy. The mind watches as if witnessing a vow and understands that the vow is to ease. Night thickens into something generous and deep. The outline of the ridge becomes a soft black wave against the starfield. The ledge cools, but the memory of heat remains under the skin of the rock, the way kindness remains under the skin of a day. The feather lies where it lies. The mountain bows as it bows. Your body repeats the motion, small as the tilt of a flower, sure as the settling of snow, releasing by degrees until releasing is not a thing you do, but the thing you are. Dawn lifts a pale ribbon over the river, and the water carries it like silk. Mist moves in slow breaths along the surface, gathering around stones, dissolving from reeds, rising to meet the first light. The banks smell of wet earth and green things just awake. A heron shifts its weight and becomes still again, a grey stroke in the margins of morning. Your feet touch the river, and for a quiet moment, the water receives them as though it were soft ground. A thin skin of calm spreads between current and air. Your heel lowers. The surface gives but does not break, dimpling like a memory being made. The ball of your foot follows, the arch stretching, the toes finding delicate balance. A footprint forms in light rather than mud, a shallow cradle of brightness edged with tiny rings. You lift the other foot and place it ahead. Another cradle appears. Step by step, the river accepts the pattern of your passage, each impression a small signature written on moving glass. Breath falls into rhythm with the current. In through the nose, cool and clear as the mist. Out through the mouth, warm and even, as if the river has borrowed your exhale to widen itself. Shoulders release the day that has not yet begun. The neck lengthens. The back becomes a tall reed that sways without effort. Ankles loosen and learn an easy confidence. Calves soften into the work that is no work at all. Knees bend with kindness. Thighs grow steady and light at the same time, as though they remember how to belong to gravity and to ease. Beneath the clear skin of water, the riverbed travels by. Pebbles in every quiet color roll their sleep-slow shapes. Sand arranges itself according to invisible agreements. Trout hover in rows of intention. Caudal fins writing invisible lines in the flow. The shadow of your body floats below you like a second person at peace, neither ahead nor behind, content to match your pace. With each step, a footprint appears and a footprint fades, brief as a bell tone, complete as a bell tone. The first notes of birdsong unfold from the willow like stitches across a soft seam. Light spreads along the surface, turning silver into milk, milk into gold. As color gathers, so does warmth, and the prints dim just a little faster. Ring, smoothness, clarity again. The disappearing is not a loss. It is the river returning to its preferred simplicity. Your breath copies that simplicity. In, spacious. Out, smoother still. The chest finds an easy wideness, ribs moving like a tide that understands its shore. You walk as if the dawn had set a path only you can see. The path is not a line. It is this moment repeated, fresh each time. The imprint of your heel is a soft bowl that holds nothing. The imprint of your toes is a brief constellation. Dew rises from the water and kisses the skin around your ankles. That coolness moves upward, then turns to warmth under the skin, a gentle glow that spreads through shins and calves, knees and thighs, into the bowl of the pelvis. The belly answers by loosening, by lowering with every exhale, like a lantern lowering into calm air. The river speaks in many voices at once. Over stones it whispers. Against roots it hushes. Around a submerged branch it hums. Between boulders it takes a longer breath, then releases. Your steps do not interrupt any of this. They join it. A print appears. The river holds it for a breath. Sunlight touches that place. The print softens and goes. Another appears. Another goes. The pattern is as comforting as the breath itself. Arrival, presence, release. Your shoulders offer a slow bow to the morning. They move away from the ears by a distance smaller than a thought and find they can stay there with no effort. The throat opens the simple way a gate opens when the latch has never been set. The tongue rests broad in the mouth and trusts the breath to pass. The face learns the expression of someone who no longer needs to try. Eyelids feel pleasantly heavy at the edges, as if lined with dew. The small muscles around the eyes lose their tiny fists and open their tiny hands. Here and there, a reed bends toward the water and writes a fine green line on the mirror. A dragonfly skims and leaves a thread of disturbance that mends itself before you can follow it. A ring appears where a fish kissed the surface and widens through one of your footprints, wrapping the shape for a heartbeat, carrying it outward as a gift. Your steps feel lighter now, as if the river has learned your weight and agreed to carry it. By mid-morning, the mist has climbed into the blue and thinned until it is only brightness. The sun has slipped its first gold deeper into the water, warming the upper skin and waking more voices from the banks. Grasshoppers start their small engines in the fields beyond. A soft heat leans against your forearms, then lifts away again with the breeze. The prints you make still arrive, still flower, still pass. Each one teaches the same lesson by being itself completely and then not at all. Your body practices that lesson. A thought about the day drifts in and brightens a small circle inside your mind. You notice the circle and the brightness dims into something friendly. Another thought rises from deeper water. It looks like a task. It looks like a name. It looks like a small promise you made. The river touches it and the edge is round. The thought becomes a pebble that finds its place, not gone, but not pressing. Breath carries the smoothing. In, the circle of brightness. Out, the circle opening and joining the rest of the river. You pause near midstream, standing on that thin skin that keeps deciding to be a path. The pause is you, not the water. Everything else goes on. You allow the pause to reach into the hips, softening joints that do not need to brace. You allow it into the lower back, where long muscles often hold on after they have done enough. They loosen by a finger's width, then more, as if someone had found the exact knot and pressed a warm thumb to it. The relief spreads upward through the spine like sunlight rising through depths, illuminating vertebrae one by one, each bone a little island receiving day. The heron lifts from the far bank, its wings making a sound like sheets being folded. It crosses downstream with the slow insistence of a clock that does not hurry. Its shadow slips over you, for a moment making your prints darker, then leaves you brighter than before. The air smells now of warmed stone, clean and simple. Every exhale meets that scent and grows quieter. The place where the water is deepest looks like polished steel. The place where it is shallow looks like braided glass. Your feet know the difference through the fineness of the skin. Your soles become the most attentive eyes. They read temperature and texture, read speed and rest, read the small events of the river's day as it passes beneath you. The reading is not a labor. It is another way of being present, like listening to a friend talk about something that matters to them. The prints you make are the nods to that listening, each one notched with sincerity, each one free of need. The sun climbs. Noon pulls its clear thread through the sky. Warmth broadens. A wind from the far meadow crosses the water and strews small shivers everywhere. When the shivers reach your path, your current prints soften in an instant, no longer bowls of light but confetti of brightness, then plain water. The last rings flatten. The surface returns to the simple face it wore before you arrived. The memory of your footsteps disperses into reflections of clouds, into ripples that travel to shore and hush themselves in reeds. Where those steps went can be felt in the body rather than named. They travelled into the bellies of fish as a momentary shadow and left behind calm. They travelled into the reeds as a small music and left behind silence. They travelled into the sky as a slight adjustment of light and left behind more sky. They travelled into you as an easing and left behind room. The place where you are standing holds that room the way water holds the colour of the day. On the near bank, smooth stones lie warm as bread. You imagine gathering 3 of them, one for each small bundle of the day you do not need to carry any farther. In your mind's hand, you place the first stone on the surface, and the water takes it down with perfect accuracy. A bubble rises, a silver bead, and pops. The second stone follows, tidier than the first, as if it already belonged where it goes. The third rests in your palm for an extra breath, so you can feel its honest weight before giving it to the current. When it slips under, the river says thank you by becoming itself even more fully. The giving travels through the arm and shoulder. Unwinding strands you hadn't noticed were tight. The collarbones widen. The heart sits more comfortably in its house. The sternum feels light. Your breath keeps time with a rhythm older than names. Long in, longer out. Long in, longer out. Until even the counting inside you fades and only the rhythm remains. Light washes the surface white, and in that brightness, there are no prints at all. The river looks as though no one has touched it, yet everything that was touched remains touched where it matters. The ankles remember the coolness that woke them. The legs remember the steadiness that required no strain. The spine remembers the length that arrived without effort. The face remembers the softness that belongs to relief. These are quiet remembrances, the kind that do not ask to be displayed. They simply change the way the body meets the next moment. If a remnant of worry flickers, it does so with the lifespan of a ring on water. It widens, thins, joins the whole. The mind learns to let that happen without leaning in. Each exhale is a gentle current, carrying the flicker downstream until it is only part of motion, and then only part of quiet. The body learns to trust this. The trust reaches to the edges of the skin, and the skin answers with a steady hum of belonging. The sun stands high. Shadows draw themselves short and simple. The heron has folded itself back into the riverbank and appears as a shape the eye might pass over. Wind braids the tall grass in the meadows, and the braids loosen at once, like hair at the end of the day. You step once more and feel the familiar dimpling. It forms and releases faster than before, like a bow you have learned so well that it needs only the idea to be complete. A step, a soft opening, a letting go. The river keeps moving. So do you. Movement and rest are partners here. Movement in the water, rest in you, or the other way around. The line between them thins until both feel like two manners of the same kindness. Breath moves because it loves to. Muscles rest because they have permission. The mind watches because watching is a form of appreciation. Current carries it all, and nothing needs to resist. Little by little, the story of your footprints becomes the story of the river itself. Shine, ring, smoothness. Shine, ring, smoothness. Until even the idea of a story loosens and sinks like a pebble finding its exact place. The surface is a single piece again, bright and simple, carrying sky, carrying light, carrying the faint scent of stone and leaf and warmth that means midday. Under that brightness, somewhere in the quiet of your chest, the memory of walking holds steady, not as images or words, but as ease. The ease has no edges and makes no demands. It dilates like a slow blossom, petal by petal, until the blossom and the light around it feel like one thing. The current keeps its course and lends you its pace. In. The river climbs the banks of the lungs. Out. The river returns to itself and takes you with it. In. The ribs become a shoreline that welcomes whatever arrives. Out. The shoreline widens and the waves lay themselves down. You drift, standing or sitting, it no longer matters which. The body is supported from below by something that never tires, and from within by something that never asks for anything in return. Noon glows. The surface holds only the present, smooth and bright and willing. You feel that willingness in your bones. The day may ask for footsteps later. For now, the river carries them. For now, you carry only the lightness that remains when each print has done its quiet work and been released. The breath follows, the shoulders follow, the heart follows, and everything moves in one direction, downstream toward a wider water that knows how to hold all of it without effort. Afternoon leans toward evening, and the sky holds a gentle brightness that feels both near and endless. On the low table, there is a small candle, thumb high, the color of cream. The wick waits, neatly braided and still. When you strike the match, a tiny sun is born close to your hand. It makes a sound like a whisper finding its voice. The flame gathers itself into a tear-shaped brightness and settles, steady as a heartbeat at rest. A soft perfume of warm wax and cotton rises, clean, simple, familiar. Light opens the room from the inside. It finds the grain in the wood and makes rivers of it. It finds the curve of a bowl and draws a thin moon along its lip. In the air, pale dust motes drift like slow snow, visible only where the candle touches them with gold. Shadows grow polite, withdrawing a step, letting edges soften into agreement. Your shoulders understand this language. They step back from their own edges too, lowering by a breath, then another breath. The muscles across your upper back loosen like laces untied. You lift the candle in both hands. The glass warms your palms with the gentlest message. The flame sways, then returns to center, a dancer who knows how to bow and keep balance. Outside the window, the great light of day stands everywhere at once. On the roof tiles, in the leaves, across the distant water. You raise the small flame toward that wide brightness. For a moment, it seems a child offering a lantern to the sea. The sun does not become brighter. It does not need help. The candle does not become smaller. It does not need apology. Between them, a kindness passes that is not about size. Your face receives it. The small flame paints warmth across your cheeks, your lips, the bridge of your nose. The large light fills the room and makes even the corners friendly. Your eyes ease. The lids feel pleasantly heavy at their edges, a soft curtain lowering a fraction. Breath responds as if to a cue heard in the bones. In long, out longer, in long, out longer, each exhale smoothing the inside of the chest the way a thumb smooths cool wax. You tilt the candle slightly and watch the pool form at the wick's base. Melt gathers and clears. The surface becomes a tiny lake, bright and still, holding the reflection of its own flame. The room grows very quiet around that small brightness, like a circle of listening. Somewhere outside, a bee passes, working late, the sound thin and comfortable. A door closes in the distance. The world continues. Here, the flame continues. You keep your hands where they are, feeling the glass grow warmer, and even that warmth teaches the lesson of enough. Effort in the wrists softens. Effort in the forearms unknots. The elbows grow heavier, and heaviness is a kindness here, a permission. The shoulders float a shade lower, and the breath slides through the open gate of the throat without catching. Your tongue rests broad along the floor of the mouth. The jaw remembers there is nothing to bite, nothing to hold. The neck lengthens without trying, as if a thread at the crown drew you up only so gravity can place you down more exactly where you belong. You step closer to the window. Beyond the glass, leaves are lit from behind, each one holding a coin of light. The great radiance lays itself over everything, yet the small flame still makes a hemisphere of gold around your hands, around your heart. You notice that this is what it can do. Bring nearness into focus, warm the immediate, let far vastness be what it is. In that noticing, something inside gives up reaching beyond its size. Effort learns its measure and becomes precise. The mind sets down the weight of exaggeration and picks up the feather of attending. Wax rises up the wick, becomes light, and returns as heat placed into your skin through the glass. Thought rises up the breath, becomes quiet, and returns as ease placed into your chest through time. The pool gathers, tips slightly when your hands breathe, then finds level again. The flame leans when your body leans, then stands. It does not argue with air, it converses with it. Your ribs mimic this conversation, widening subtly on the inhale, returning smoothly on the exhale. The heart beats inside a softer room. A breeze moves through the window screen and the flame nods once, agreeing. Its edge feathers, then draws itself together. In that nod, there is a way to live. You can feel it in the shoulders, in the small muscles along the spine, in the steadiness of the belly as it falls and rises. Agreement with what moves through becomes the shape of peace. Nothing collapses. Nothing is forced upright. Balance is a living thing. It is easy to imagine lifting a candle to make the sun brighter. It is easy to imagine lifting effort to make a day better. The small flame shows another route. By lighting only what it touches, it makes the world intimate. Your palms glow faintly. The fine lines at the base of your fingers look like river deltas. The nail beds blush with warmth. The pulse in your wrists moves like a distant drum heard through leaves. The light gives you back your body, part by part, as a place worth being. On the table, the bowl still holds its thin moon. You set the candle near it and watch how two circles of brightness meet. One lit from within, one from the sky. Where they overlap, shadows thin until they are only the memory of edges. Your breath finds that overlap. The inhale lands in the bright place. The exhale widens it until even the place itself is not so distinct. The diaphragm glides lower. The belly slackens and settles. The lower back ceases a long-held, unnecessary opinion. You carry the candle to the doorway and step outside. Evening is sweeter here, the air tasting of green thing and stone cooling. The big light has softened. It spreads itself like a long ribbon across rooftops and fences, pages and hands. You lift the candle again, and now the two brightnesses feel like relatives. The sun, still high but mellow. The candle, close and sure. They do not compete. Each honors what the other is. The small flame illuminates the wood grain of the doorframe that the sun does not reach. The sun opens the distance that the candle cannot touch. Together, they make wholeness. From the wick, a single thread of smoke lifts, then is forgotten by the air. The faint scent of cotton and a memory of honey rest low and kind. You imagine the path the sun took to get here. Ocean of blue and the thin, shining corridors across space. And then your attention returns to the inch of light that fits perfectly inside your cupped hands. Vast distances, intimate warmth, both true, both offered. Your chest understands and chooses to ease rather than hold both. The easing itself holds them. Wax rises again, becomes brightness again. A small bead rolls toward the rim of the pool and stops, content to be rounded. The glass gives back a thin halo along its edge. Shadows at your feet are long, long and soft. A second body reclined and resting beside you. The evening gathers at the edges of things, arranging calm. Your breath quietly matches that arrangement. In through the open news of the world. Out through the door that needs no key. You lower the candle to the level of your heart. The warmth gathers there in a patient circle. It does not push. It sits like a stone that has kept sunlight all afternoon and now shares it in a low voice. Almost at once, the muscles across your collarbones release. The sternum floats and feels spacious. Behind it, the heart beats with a confidence that has nothing to do with outcome. You can sense the ease spreading to the sides, along the ribs, to the back body where the shoulder blades lie like small folded wings. Those wings do not need to lift you. They only need to rest where they are, precise and quiet. You walk a little, slow and unhurried, each step a soft sound, every sound belonging. The candlelight moves with you, gliding along rail and wall, turning nails into points of gold, catching the gloss on a leaf and letting it go. The great light beyond the rooftop slides lower, and its colour thickens from white to amber to a tender copper that paints even the undersides of things. In the overlap, your hands, your face, your chest, everything is gently included. The wick shortens by breaths. The flame keeps its character. It has no anxiety about its size, no insistence on being seen. You notice how the body relaxes even more when you stand inside that lack of insistence. The small muscles along the jaw soften. The tongue lies heavy and safe in its bed of mouth. The throat feels like a clear path between sky and belly. The inhale travels without friction. The exhale descends and leaves a coolness like a clean sheet. And now the sun leans toward the line of the world. The roofs darken one by one. The trees become cutouts against a washed peach sky. You lift the candle once more toward the last of the day, and for a breath, the two lights share a perfect sentence, beginning and end in the same word. The sentence continues, even as the great light steps behind the horizon. The candle grows more visible, yes, but not more important. It does what it has always done, just more plainly. You do what you have been practicing, just more easily, letting effort rest where it belongs, letting light do what light does. You place the candle on the railing and let your hands fall to your sides. They carry a gentle afterglow, a memory of warmth that lingers in the skin and the small bones. The shoulders have forgotten how to climb. They prefer this new level. The occiput loosens and the neck floats. If a thought arrives, something unfinished, something yet to be done, it meets the circle of light and slows, becomes simple, becomes scheduled inside the body's timing. Inhale when there is air. Exhale when release is called for. The flame's edge is almost invisible now, a boundary where brightness meets air without argument. The pool has deepened. The wick's ember glows beneath the visible flame like a quiet conviction. The glass, warmer, leans its heat into the night. You lean a little too, not forward, but inward, toward the center that has been growing clear. There is less to manage here, less to carry, less to prove. The body is the vessel. Breath is the caretaker. Light is the guest who requires so little and gives so much. Crickets begin, each one a bead, together a necklace around the garden. Somewhere, a neighbor laughs softly, the sound rolling once and resting. The sky becomes a deeper bowl, and a first star appears, then stands very still. The candle reflects in your eyes for a moment, and then makes itself at home behind them, in the place where attention glows. The warmth at your sternum holds steady, and the steady invites every other part of you to copy it in their own language. Calves heavy and calm, thighs warm and at ease, hips grounded, belly quiet, chest wide, throat clear, face smooth, scalp free, the crown of the head light as a leaf. In the small circle of light, your own breath is visible if you look sideways at the glass. A brief cloud on the outside when you exhale near it, already gone when you inhale again. It feels like a promise written in disappearing ink and kept every time. The flame wavers once, then steadies, and even that motion has a lesson the muscles understand. The lesson is not an idea. It is a posture that needs almost no posture, an alignment that happens when nothing is pressed into place. The sun is gone from the visible world, yet its wide gift remains in the air. a soft, lingering brightness that gives everything edges without hardening them. The candle continues, its small voice untroubled, its warmth a local truth that is more than enough. In their company, your effort folds itself smaller and smaller until it can rest in your smallest finger, in your breath's smallest movement, in the space between heartbeats, where quiet lives like a bird on a branch at night. You let your eyes drift half closed, letting the flame become a blur, a gold almond suspended in air. The blur is easier on the eyes, and the eyes are ready for easy. The breath moves in the quiet shape it has learned tonight. Long in, longer out, the out like a slow tide finding its reach, like wax finding its level, like light finding faces to soften, and then leaving them softer. The glass is warm, the air is mild, the night holds the rest of the sky for you. The small flame holds the nearness. You hold nothing, and because you hold nothing, everything seems to settle where it needs to be. Your bones, your breath, your thoughts, the thousand tiny lights of the world, inside and out, arranged by a hand you cannot see and do not need to see. The hand of gravity, the hand of time, the hand of gentle light that knows exactly how to show the way, by not insisting on it. Dusk lays itself across the world like a robe, soft and even. Air cools in small increments, the way metal cools when a forge goes quiet. The room you inhabit is simple, a floor that remembers footsteps, a window with a patient square of fading light, a wall that has learned to keep secrets. Somewhere beyond, in a courtyard or a valley, in a shrine or a memory, a bell begins to sound without being touched. Its presence arrives before its voice, the way light is known by what it gently reveals. The first shimmer is not exactly heard. It is sensed the way skin senses the nearness of warm water. A thin, round feeling expands from nowhere in particular, as if a circle were being drawn inside the silence, wider, wider, without a hand to guide it. The body pauses and listens on its own. Shoulder blades set down their habits. The breath grows attentive and unafraid. A spacious tone becomes apparent, pure, patient, without edges. It is the kind of tone that finds bones immediately. It lays a palm on the collarbones and is kind. It rests in the hollows at the base of the throat and is kind. It leans into the sternum, and the chest opens a door that was only waiting to be noticed. Inside that open space, the sound is a light that does not need to be seen. Ribs receive it, one by one, like lanterns being lit down a quiet street. No rope swings, no mallet completes an arc. The bell within the silence sings, as if the silence itself were its metal, as if quiet had learned to ring. The tone carries a low, velvet center and a thin amber halo of overtones. The center warms the spine. The halo hovers in the air and makes the very edges of things gentle. Corners blur, lines soften. Even thoughts appear rounder. Breathing adjusts on its own. The inhale buys no air in a hurry. The exhale writes a long line and finishes it cleanly. In through the nose, cool, spacious, precise. Out through the mouth, warm, unhurried, complete. The ringing learns the rhythm of the breath, and the breath learns the shape of the ringing, until each seems to be the other's echo. Without effort, the two become a single motion that widens the room within the ribs and lays down a quiet tide across the belly. The sound travels downward as if each vertebra were a small bell of its own, tuned to dignity. It finds the place behind the heart and waits there without pressing. It finds the diaphragm and lengthens it, a sail catching a kind wind. It finds the muscles along the low back that keep stories and sings them simple. Those stories become pebbles in clear water. They do not vanish, they settle. In the room, objects begin to share the tone. The table rounds its corners further and looks like a friend. The window frame hums in its thin wooden way. The floor offers back a faint resonance at the heels, and then the arches, and then the 10 small bones in each foot receive a fraction of the unstruck bell. The soles feel wider, more at home. The calves grow heavy and quiet. Hamstrings lengthen without petition. The hips loosen their small gaits and swing open on a sound that has never needed hinges. Somewhere outside, a moth flirts with a porch light. Somewhere far, a dog turns twice and descends into sleep like a diver into a deep blue pool. The bell that is not struck continues, not insisting, not fading, but settling into the kind of constancy that makes counting irrelevant. Time arranges itself around it. Minutes wear softer shoes. The mind steps into those shoes and discovers it is kinder when it walks on felt. The tone finds the neck, and the neck remembers its original length. Atlas releases its tiny negotiations. The base of the skull lets the bell ring through its doorway, and the forehead smooths its fields. Eyelids grow pleasantly heavy at the margins. Behind them, the eyes feel bathed. The tongue rests like a small boat returned to its cove and tied with an easy knot. The jaw releases even its idea of holding. Silence is no longer the absence of sound. It is the home of this sound. The sound is the voice of the home. The mind enters the house and leaves its shoes at the door. Thoughts that needed to shout now speak in library tones. Some do not speak at all. They simply nod and find a chair near the window. Memory comes in like an old friend, puts a gentle hand on your shoulder, and sits nearby without asking for stories tonight. The bell teaches attention by example. It doesn't reach or gather. It disperses evenly. It touches everything and leaves nothing marked. The body copies it. Attention spreads like honey on warm bread. No edges left dry. The skin along the arms feels a fine, pleasant electricity and then resolves into calm. Elbows find their perfect angle of rest. Wrists uncurl their daylight. Fingers become small anchors of ease. Breath continues its round trip along the same riverbed. Coolness in, warmth out. Each return passes over smooth stones. Each return polishes them further. The tone rides within it, a companion that needs no introduction and never asks to be remembered, because forgetting it is impossible now. Where the breath turns from in to out, there is a doorway that stands open. The tone lives in that doorway. Standing there, it makes the hinges invisible. If you listen to the room, you hear the air itself holding the note. If you listen to the body, you feel the chest become a bell without weight. If you listen to the mind, you notice it is listening too, and that its listening is the same as quiet. The distinction blurs the way shoreline blurs at high tide. Land and water exchange courtesies and share a single sentence. The sound and the hearing share a single nearness. At some point you realize the sound has never become louder. You have become more available. The world has adjusted around the note, like a garden pruning itself at dawn. Anything unnecessary loosens. Anything necessary settles. The shoulders like stones warmed by sun. The belly like a lake that has finally found windless weather. The heart like a lantern lighting itself. The ringing center hums in the marrow. It speaks to knees that have carried you all day and tells them they are allowed to be ancient. It speaks to ankles and says travel is over for now. It speaks to the small joints in the toes and says nothing more than rest. Every message is received because every message is the same message. You can soften without falling apart. You can be strong by being kind. Outside the window, A thin strand of cloud is peeled into evening. A star appears behind it, and the cloud becomes a finger pointing nowhere. The sky understands the note too. It deepens its color to hold it better. The note understands the sky and becomes as broad as your sight. The mind understands both and does nothing with its understanding. Doing nothing is the exact action required. The tone now has overtones. They are subtle, like light within light. One shimmers along the scalp and the crown, lifting the hair just enough to feel air. One threads along the ears and polishes the tiny bones hidden there, until hearing feels like seeing in the dark. One circulates along the cheeks and the lips and gives them a softness as if a kind word had been spoken, even if none has. One pulls behind the navel and turns warmth radiant. The ribs continue their measured choreography, expanding like a bellows made of silk, returning without effort, each movement matched to a sound that needs no musician. The diaphragm finds a long arc and rides it. The back body blooms from the 2 points at the base of the skull, down the long pathways beside the spine, all the way to the sacrum, that old stone at the root, which receives the tone and gives back stability so refined it feels like floating. Thoughts cross the field like deer at dusk. They do not startle, they do not trample. They appear, lift their heads, take 2 steps, and dissolve into the same hue as the trees. The bell does not disturb them. They do not disturb the bell. This is agreement, and agreement has the flavor of peace. You taste a hint of it at the back of the tongue. You feel a portion of it in the hands. You breathe a lungful of it, and the chest forgets where effort used to live. Elsewhere, perhaps in a monastery where night is a friend, monks would strike a bell to call attention home. Here, the bell calls without striking. It invites attention to notice it already arrived. Awareness settles into awareness like a bird into a nest it built long ago and finds perfect. The twig of the breath, the feather of the body, the thread of quiet, it all fits. The note thins, not by fading, but by refining, the way tea clarifies in the mouth after the swallow. It lives now in the interstices, the tiny distances between heartbeat and heartbeat, the narrow alley between thoughts, the delicate pause at the bottom of the breath. It lives in the fold of the elbow, the valley behind the knee, the small cave just inside the base of the throat. Wherever you turn inward, the tone has already arrived, friendly and sure. Feet feel heavy and right. Shins are 2 calm lines. Knees are moons in their phases, full of allowance. Thighs are inhabited by warmth that does not flash, simply glows. Hips, like wide bowls, set down on a table that will not tip. The abdomen like a lake with a single ripple that never breaks on any shore. The heart like a room with a window open onto the quietest garden. In the upper rooms of the chest, the note continues its work. It leans into the places where worry half lives, and the worry cannot remember its task. It leans into old conversations that echo at dusk, and the echo turns into a polite clearing of the throat, and then into sleep. It leans into the future, and the future looks back with nothing on its face but room. The note does not make promises. It removes the need for them. At the throat, the passage clears like a path after gentle rain. Air moves freely. Whatever wanted to be said today has been said, or can wait, or was never needed. The tone moves through the mouth and brushes the palate with coolness, then warmth, as if to say that both are friends. It settles in the cheeks and gives them the weightlessness of someone smiling in their sleep. Ears are no longer searching. They rest like open hands. They notice the smallest differences inside the same quiet. The house cooling by degrees, wood adjusting its posture, fabric settling into fabric, the softest sound a candle makes when it remembers heat. Beyond that, the wider world keeps its long breath, and the bell keeps its rounded voice inside that breath. The mind may look for beginnings and ends. The bell has neither. Its origin is every still moment. Its destination is every still moment. The mind notices this and exhales a little longer. In that longer exhale, the diaphragm lowers, and the body makes more space for ease. In that more space, the note has room to show how gentle strength can be. You can feel it in the wrists now, a tender pulse that is not only blood, but also yes. In the fingertips, a warmth that is not only skin, but also welcome. In the shoulders, an absence that is not emptiness, but the leaving of a burden. In the neck, a length that is not tallness, but alignment with the sky. In the face, a softness that is not slackness, but the outline of calm. Windows dimension. The square of light turns the color of lavender, then of pearl, then of the inside of a seashell. The first stars take their careful positions. The room becomes the inside of a bell. The body becomes the clapper taken away. Only resonance remains. It moves through you in waves whose crests you do not need to mark. The waves become the tide becomes the level becomes the default becomes peace. At the crest of the inhale, you hear the thin, bright overtone like a silver thread. At the base of the exhale, you feel the deep velvet center like a dark lake. Between them, a bridge of attention holds you with no strain in its cables. This bridge does not cross anything. It is the simple joining of being with being. The note can be followed into the feet, into the hands, into the belly, into the spine, into the throat, into the space between the eyebrows, into the soft point at the center of the crown. Each place accepts it and is better for the visit. Each place becomes a bell, and then all places ring together at a volume that remains kind. Not loud, never loud. Present like gravity, present like the tide, present like your own pulse when you have been very quiet for a long time. The unstruck bell continues. Its voice is the shape of your resting. Its voice is the posture of your breath. Its voice is the way your thoughts stand at the window and admire the evening without speaking. It needs no proof. It asks for no defense. It finds you where you are and takes no time to arrive. You remain with it, and it remains with you until remaining and ringing are the same event. The room is kindly, the body is kindly, the night is kindly. The bell does not stop, because stopping implies starting, and the sound that requires no hand knows neither. It knows the open door inside the breath, and it knows how to live there, and it knows how to welcome you as you walk through, again and again, without any sound of hinges at all. Evening finds the courtyard with a hush that seems to arrive on bare feet. Stones hold the last warmth of the day. A thin drift of leaves has gathered along the edges like quiet company. A broom rests against the wall, simple straw bound to a handle, rubbed smooth by many hands. When you lift it, the weight is almost nothing, the pull through the air a promise of soft arcs. You place its bristles to the ground and begin with one slow stroke. Dust rises in a pale veil and shines for a heartbeat, then becomes sky again. You sweep not to win a battle, but to draw circles the wind understands. The first pass is wide, an easy crescent that asks nothing from the wrists. The second pass narrows and finds a line. The third pass is a breath more than a motion. With each stroke, the shoulders unfasten themselves, first a notch lower, then two. The back lengthens as if a page were being smoothed by a gentle palm. Hips loosen into their hinge. Knees say yes to the rhythm. A breeze slides across the roof tiles and arrives to help. The broom and the wind exchange tasks without a word. Your stroke begins the sentence. The air finishes it. Dust dances up and away. Leaves roll a few soft inches and agree to settle. You hear the straws whisk against stone, a sound of linen folded, of pages turned. Under that, the courtyard's small voices resume. A cricket stitching a line and tying it off. A clay pot clicking as it cools. A drop of water deciding to fall and then changing its mind. You find a cadence. Inhale as the bristles lift. Exhale as they travel. Inhale to place. Exhale to sweep. Soon, the breath sweeps even when the broom is still. It gathers thoughts at the edges and guides them into quiet eddies where they can settle as gently as ash after a bell. One thought rises with the dust, something that didn't go as planned. In the air it looks harmless, almost golden. The wind carries it a few feet left, and it thins. Another thought appears, a small future, sharp with angles. Your stroke brushes past and rounds its corners. The courtyard makes room. Nothing is forced out. Everything is invited down. Your hands loosen on the handle, palms warm, fingers curved like a question that has already been answered. Wrists uncoil. Forearms put down a weight they forgot they were holding. The broom is no longer a tool. It is an extension of breath. Long stroke, long out breath. Smooth and easy. Pause. Soft place. Long in, returning the broom to the beginning. The world breathes, and so do you. The spaces between stones receive attention, like water poured into a garden, and a small shine appears everywhere you pass. A swirl blooms near the doorway, dried petals and seed husks that refuse to choose a home. You pause, not as a stop, but as a settling of attention. You plant the broom lightly, nudge once, and let the breeze learn the plan. It arrives like a friendly colleague who needed only to be invited. The swirl loosens and flows toward the corner. You guide, the air gathers. You gather, the air guides. In the rhythm of joining, the body learns a new shape for effort. Precise, kind, smaller than habit. Shoulders drift down another fraction. The back of the neck is free. The jaw remembers it has no part in sweeping and goes slack with relief. The tongue rests broad on the mouth's floor. Eyes soften and widen together. Edges blur enough to be generous. The courtyard grows bigger in that generosity, as if the walls had stepped an inch outward for comfort. Straw hums a little song against the ground. The wind harmonizes. You keep time. You move toward the center, where sun once pooled and left a faint circle. There, the broom makes its quiet maps. You feel the heel of the hand on the handle, the light work of the fingers, the turn at the waist that spares the shoulders and respects the spine. Each arc sketches a crescent moon on the stones, then erases it. Making and unmaking turns out to be the same ease. What remains is the courtyard itself. Present, simple, pleased. When you rest the broom, the air keeps sweeping. You can hear it now. The slightest sift through leaves, the rounded corners of sound after dust has left. The skin on your forearms tingles and then calms. Your shoulders hang like quiet bells. The breath moves on polished tracks. The mind has learned from the broom and the wind how to place and release. Place and release, until the space between thoughts is wide enough for night to settle there comfortably. You stand, still as a doorway, while the wind finishes what only air can do, and the courtyard becomes the clear page it always was under the day's writing. Night draws its soft grid over the room, and the bed waits like a small boat tied in a friendly harbour. Sheets hold the cool of evening. The air carries the faintest starch of clean fabric and the mineral hush of washed skin. Your pillow is a quiet hill of cotton, a white cloud anchored to the earth. When you lower your head, it rises to meet you, shaping itself around cheek and temple with the expertise of slow rivers shaping their banks. For a moment, you wonder who holds whom. The answer arrives not as words but as warmth along the jawline. The pillow has decided to dream you. It cradles the angles you forgot you had, finds the valley behind the ear and fills it with softness, supports the narrow bridge where skull and spine first greet each other. The pillow imagines you as weightless and becomes the proof. You are lighter here because the shape under you has learned your name in the language of pressure and release. Eyebrows unfurrow. The skin across the forehead smooths until it feels wider than the day. Eyes float in their small, perfect pools. Each lid is a petal lowered with a gardener's care. The tongue widens and rests, a warm leaf on a quiet pond. The jaw unhooks its invisible latch. The breath finds the long hallway it remembers from childhood, running from nose to throat, to chest to belly with no doors to push, no turns to count. The pillow dreams the crown of your head as sky. In that dream, the scalp loosens from the skull, a soft veil uncaught by wind. Hair forgets being hair and becomes the idea of breeze. The pillow dreams the back of your head as stone warmed by sun. The stone remembers all day and gives it back as low heat that travels into the neck and melts the iron filings of effort scattered there. The pillow dreams your cheeks as fruit, round, sweet, perfectly held, and they respond by rounding and sweetening and being perfectly held. Breath slows to a tide that knows the shore very well. In that tide, a lighthouse of sensation moves around the body, lighting each small harbour. The light touches the base of the skull, and the muscles there sigh inward, deeper, looser. It slides along the sides of the neck, across the little ladders of muscle that climb toward the ears, and every rung lowers itself by one soft inch. It passes the throat where words are kept. The words see the light and lie down. It enters the chest and opens doors that were only stuck because no one had tried gently. Under the pillow's dream, the bed becomes a boat and begins to drift. It is not going anywhere in particular. It is simply showing you again what floating is like. The mattress lifts from below like a current made of cotton. The ribs become planks that rise and fall together. The sternum is the quiet prow that parts the dark water of night without making a sound. The breath is both wind and wave. You are carried. If memory knocks, it is a friendly neighbour asking only if you need anything before they sleep. The pillow answers the door. We are fine here, it says, by holding you more specifically. If a worry turns in its chair, the pillow hands it a blanket. The worry yawns, sees the shape of you fitting, and forgets its argument. Shoulders sink another inch, this time not down but in, as if placed back on the right shelf. The weight along the clavicles redistributes evenly, the way beads settle when a string is laid flat. The pillow's dream becomes more detailed. It imagines your breath as ink, black and glossy, drawing long, slow lines across a page. Inhale, the pen lifts and moves forward. Exhale, the pen touches down and writes a steady stroke. Each line finishes with elegance, trailing a thin tail that fades into white. These lines stack into a poem that could be about anything, but turns out to be about rest. You do not need to read it. Your body understands every stanza. The lower jaw floats half a breath away from effort. The lips soften back into their natural curve. The inner ears accept that the world can turn without their supervision. The pillow has dreams for the shoulders too. It sees them not as armor, but as garden gates swinging open on silent hinges. The dream comes true. The gates open. Air moves easily across the collarbones and down into the warm valley of the heart. Under the heart, the diaphragm is a silk hammock hung just right. The pillow encourages it with each exhale to sink and expand, sink and expand. The belly is a lake at dusk, taking the shape of every breeze and then smoothing back to glass. Hips nest into the mattress like two bowls set on a shelf by a careful hand. Thighs grow heavy, blessedly unambitious. Knees forget corridors and staircases, prefer this still meadow. Calves unlace their boots. Ankles put their wrists down. Feet release the day's map and simply become warm animals, curled and content. The pillow continues its dreaming, and this time it dreams the room. Walls lean a little farther away so space can sit down. The door frame becomes a frame for a painting whose subject is quiet. The window remembers the moon, even if it is not visible, and invites that memory in as a pale glow. The glow touches a corner of the ceiling and rests. Light knows when to stop traveling. Your breath, slower now, holds you like waves hold the shore, advancing, embracing, retreating, never leaving. The pillow knows how to follow that hold with the gentlest counterbalance, offering support where weight briefly returns, offering softness where release is complete. Parts of you do not name, small muscles on the inside of the spine, the secret ladder between ribs, the fine chords that steady the voice, receive the message and answer by going quiet. In quiet, they become exactly themselves, nothing extra, nothing withheld. If the edge of sleep appears, it does not appear. It arrives as a slight widening of the dark, a warmer tone to the air, a feeling that gravity has moved closer, not to press, but to cradle. The pillow dreams you as a shoreline at night. The tide comes in. It touches the sand with equal care in 1,000 places. It goes out. It leaves the shoreline dressed in satin. The pillow does not stop dreaming. It only dreams more slowly, and in that slowing you are carried deeper toward a place where names are not necessary, and being held is the only story. Between an in-breath and an out-breath, there is a place with no furniture, a doorway so thin it feels like a line of light more than a space. You pass through it many times a minute without noticing, like a traveler who uses a familiar path and never looks up at the arch. Tonight, the arch asks nothing. It simply lets itself be seen. Inhale arrives, a cool river climbing the banks of the lungs. Ribs open with a silent hinge. The heart room brightens as if a curtain had been drawn for morning. At the crest, there is a moment that does not belong to either in or out. It is not a holding. It is a small sky. Your attention steps under it and stands. No effort is required. Gravity is even on both sides. Exhale begins. A warm river returning to its source. The same doorway appears again at the base, another small sky, shaped like permission. You do not need to reach it. You are already there. Breath is a gentle pendulum. The doorway is the very still point at each end of the swing, where motion knows it is about to turn and is not yet turning. In that not yet, ease gathers without being gathered. You listen to the body find this place on its own. The throat is a clear corridor. Air moves through noiselessly, as if wearing soft shoes. The diaphragm loosens its belt and slides like a well-oiled glide. The belly swells and settles, a tide knowing only kindness. Shoulder blades rest as two flat stones warmed by afternoon now released into evening. The neck lengthens enough to give the breath a sense of height. The jaw gives up any claim on the passage, and the tongue becomes a quiet riverbed. At the end of an in-breath light, a pause that feels like a blank page where nothing is required and everything is allowed. In that light, thoughts lose their urgency. The mind turns its head, curious but unhurried, and sees that it can stand in a doorway without choosing a room. Not in decision, spaciousness, not in action, rest. The body reads this like script it once knew by heart. At the end of an out-breath, depth, a pause that feels like a lake whose surface holds the moon without trembling. In that depth, the nervous system lays down its bundle and sits beside you. Shoulders lower another hair's width. The small muscles along the spine fold like paper cranes and rest their wings. The palms soften, the fingers uncoil. The wrists feel air move over them as if air were water and they had been immersed. The doorway asks for no technique. You are not holding your breath. You are noticing that it stops for a moment all by itself and that the stopping is safe. The noticing is the only passage. Each time you notice, the doorway grows more familiar, like a threshold whose worn wood knows the sole of your foot. The more familiar it becomes, the less you need to look. The body turns at the right place all by itself. Sense the very top of the inhale. A feather-light buoyancy at the collarbones, a slight brightening at the nostrils, coolness touching the back of the throat. There the doorway opens and everything stands still in the nicest way. Sense the very bottom of the exhale, the diaphragm resting low, the belly soft as a field after harvest, warmth shading the chest. There the doorway opens again and stillness has weight, comforting and exact. Attention drifts through the body and discovers other doorways that rhyme with this one. The pause between one heartbeat and the next. The instant a thought dissolves and another has not yet formed. The turning at the ankle when a step becomes a stand. The quiet that follows the softest swallow. Every hinge has its bright line. Every threshold offers the same hospitality. Step if you want, stand if you prefer. Either way, the house of you is open. Breathing becomes a long hallway with two open doorways, one at each end, and you stroll it with the laziest grace. Inhale, windows on one side show a hillside of green. Exhale, windows on the other side show the sea at evening. At the far ends, bright thresholds, one trimmed in silver, one trimmed in gold. You pause under each, not to examine, but to be examined, by light, by ease, by the simple fact of being here. As the pauses widen, not in seconds but in generosity, muscles accept the invitation. The forehead feels cool, much like a stone after rain. Around the eyes, the tiniest fibers stop measuring and decide to rest. The cheeks are warm and slack in the wholesome sense, as if mid-laughter became a permanent softness. The throat is a bell with its clapper set aside, ready to resonate, but content to do so on silence alone. If a thought worries the margins, did I do enough? What arrives tomorrow, notice how it cannot cross the doorway. It must wait on one side or the other until breath resumes and carries it gently along. At the threshold, its edges round. Sometimes it forgets to be thought at all and slips into air like a scent, and then into nothing. The doorway never refuses it, but neither does it pursue. The doorway is equanimity given a shape you can feel. You might sense the pauses meeting in a way that is not linear. Top and bottom are the same kind of space. You could stand at either and be in the same room. The room where being is untouched by doing, where the furnace is warm and the burners are off, where time is present but in no hurry. In that room, the heart beats more willingly. not because it must, but because it can. The pulse in the wrists becomes a neighbor's knock that means only hello. Let the breath keep drawing the long line from here to here. You pass through the doorway and back without lifting a foot. Each time, the body understands a little more that this is home architecture. Open plan, generous thresholds, no doors that lock. In this house, your breath lives like a kindly host who knows where every lamp is and turns them low, one by one, until the rooms are lit by the softest glow and the hallways are clear. And the only sound is your own quiet ease moving from doorway to doorway, sure of its welcome wherever it goes. The room is bright with human chatter and the soft clutter of a gathering, mugs half full, a book open to the middle, the mild percussion of spoons against porcelain. People sit in chairs and on the floor, shoulders angled toward one another, words weaving and loosening like yarn in friendly hands. At the edge of this small constellation, a cat slips in with the evening, tail raised like a question mark that already knows the answer. Eyes like lantern glass, paws like quiet punctuation. The cat examines the room, laps full of folded arms and stories, laps stacked with notebooks, laps tilted and busied. One lap is empty, an open shoreline with no footprints yet. The cat's whiskers measure the air. It steps there, as if gravity had been arranged specifically for this moment. Weight gathers, surprisingly warm, surprisingly exact. The animal kneads once, twice, 3 times, arranging the heart beneath it the way it arranges blankets, then settles into a perfect comma. A motor begins under fur, a low, steady purr that reminds the chest how to hum. The body beneath answers at once, the muscles along the thighs release. The belly sets down a small bag of worry without ceremony. The breath deepens the way a lake deepens under night. Words around you grow softer, as if the room respects the new arrangement. The cat is small sun, your lap a field in spring. Palm becomes meadow. Fingers find the rhythm of smoothing in one direction, then the other. If a thought reaches for attention, it pauses at the edge of the purr and forgets its urgency, the way a bird forgets to call in gentle rain. You notice warmth spreading in rings, first the skin, then the cloth, then the bones. Each ring leaves ease in its wake. The spine lengthens without trying, a quiet cattail unbothered by wind. The cat offers gravity lessons. It does not chase comfort, it recognizes it and arrives. It does not explain, it exists correctly. When it shifts, you shift, a duet in miniature, elegant with the economy of shared balance. Paws flex, the shoulder loosens, whiskers twitch, the temples soften. The creature blinks in slow motion, those unhurried closures and openings that are feline blessings. You return the gift by letting the eyelids grow heavy at the edges, lowering a fraction, then a fraction more. Around the room, laughter brushes the walls. Your lap remains a shoreline where tides are predictable. The cat's breathing becomes a metronome for yours. 4 slow counts in, 6 easy counts out, until counting dissolves and only cadence remains. The heart adopts the purr's tempo. Somewhere under your sternum, a timid knot lets go with a small click no one hears. Fur warms your palm. The palm warms the world within fur. It's unclear who chose whom, who holds what, and it doesn't matter. Choosing and being chosen become the same soft verb. In that verb, the mind sits down, finally comfortable, and stays. Morning by the sea is a silver sleeve, cool and smooth. Tide stands at a thoughtful height. Foam writes delicate calligraphy on the sand and wipes its own lines clean. A man sits on a low rock, hat brim shading patient eyes. No boat, no net. bare hands resting palm up on his knees as if he were expecting rain and would be pleased with whatever fell. A gull considers him from a post, then the horizon, then him again. He smiles with the kind that reaches bone rather than mouth. Waves arrive with the mild authority of metronomes. The body takes their counsel. Inhale as they crest, exhale as they flatten. With every exhale, a pocket inside the chest empties and stays empty a beat longer than habit. The emptiness is not lack, it is room. The fisherman watches the sheen, the subtle dark where a school turns as one, the way light travels down the face of a small wave like a hand along silk. Catching what I don't need, he once said, and you understand now. He sits long enough for once to sort themselves by weight. Lists arrive the way small boats arrive on a quiet tide. A thought of more accomplishment, more praise, drifts near and finding no cleat, glides back out. A thought of less noise, less demand, touches down, rests and dissolves. The breath is the harbour master, kind, unhurried, clear. Shoulders remember, they are not docks for heavy ships and lower away from the ears. The jaw warms and loses its vote. The face becomes simple as a shell. Hands ask the air if anything is needed. The answer is the clean taste of salt and the faint sugar of sun on skin. The fisherman leans to trail fingers in the water. Temperature speaks, cool, then acceptance. Fingertips draw circles that close themselves. The sea returns his touch by polishing each line to smoothness at once. A wave brings a curl of weed. He lifts it and lays it on the stone beside him, the same gesture you might use to lift a worry from the heart and place it where breeze can work on it. Across the water, a small fish breaks the surface, a silver vowel, then writes itself back into quiet. He nods at the courtesy. Breath nods with him, in through the nose, ocean notes and distance. Out through the mouth, warmth and agreement. Knees soften, spine stacks into enough, and the pelvis settles as if reminding the rock how to be steady. A line does exist, the one between appetite and appreciation. It moves like light, not like fence. He sits exactly on it. Time opens like a flap of canvas in sunlight. The rhythm of waves, the salt on the lip, the gull's yellow feet flexing, the slow drift of a cloud shadow across the water. These bead the minutes into a necklace that weighs nothing. When a heavier want returns, recognition, some proof of worth, the sea answers by asking him to listen harder. He does. He hears details he had not heard. The hiss of a receding wave dragging grains home, the pinprick pops of minute bubbles breaking, the rope creak of a buoy out beyond sight. The want cannot speak to that texture. It softens, then forgets. Another empty pocket inside the chest. By the time sun warms the hat, there is a small pile of things beside him that he did not need. A thought smoothed to silence. A worry dried to harmlessness. A comparison that broke apart like foam. He caught them by not reaching. He released them by trust. The sea keeps them, dissolves them, returns him the trade in coins of ease, heavier calves, an open throat, a steadier pulse. He stands without register of effort. Sand receives his feet, and the tide keeps time for a day that just became simpler. Wind comes like a visitor who doesn't knock, already inside, already welcome. It passes the meadow and sets 1,000 small heads of grass bowing, and this bowing looks like praise. At the edge where the meadow meets the grove, a tree rises and rests, trunk thick with years, bark etched with fine maps, branches speaking several dialects of leaf. The wind arrives with news, and the tree reads it. The reading is bowing, not break, not resistance, but a practiced, elegant yes. You watch from the path while the tree demonstrates. See how the crown leans while the root holds. See how the limb follows while the heartwood stays. Bend, return. Bend, return. Every leaf claps soundlessly in the choir of movement. Your spine, usually busy with intermittent armor, recognizes a teacher. The body asks, "How do I do that?" The tree answers by doing it again, forward like a courteous greeting, back like dignity settling, side like curiosity, stillness like a comma in an old poem. Shoulders attend first. They have been waiting to bow. No one told them it was strength. They shift down and forward together a breath's width, as if someone nudged them lovingly from behind. The neck lengthens, chin tucks nearly imperceptibly, space opening between the skull's base and the topmost vertebra. A warm line runs down either side of the spine, the exhale discovering a longer runway. Ribs, gentle as shutters, tilt and widen. Belly softens, not collapse but trust. Knees confess they prefer unlocked. Wind presses more, and you learn benevolent pressure. The tree sends the force through its whole self. No heroics, no single point asked to carry everything. You copy the distribution. Weight rolls across the feet like tide in miniature. Heel, arch, ball, toes. Toes, ball, arch, heel. Ankles negotiate in the tongue they were born speaking. Hips become hinges that like their job. The bow finishes on its own, not cut short, not overdone, and standing returns as if someone refolded a blanket smoothly. If a gust tests the edge, the tree narrows its leaves, streamlining their shimmer to let the current pass. Your body learns that narrowing too, the moment before the sneeze that doesn't come, the precise tightening that is not defense but shaping. Then opening again, a whole body blossom. Strength appears in the space made by refusal to fight. The skin, always a little alert for harm, takes a day off without asking permission. A bird lands, rides a sway, leaves. A limb creaks, but it is not complaint. It is song. The bark holds the light like a low fire. You touch the trunk and feel the wind's long biography translated into growth rings. Every story recorded by saying yes at the right angle. In your hand, the tree's teachings travel up bone. Slow breath that can be wider. Pride that bends into respect and returns to pride new and clean. You exhale longer than you inhaled and hear how the sound of breath is also a moving branch in a friendly wind. Clouds travel and reveal quicksilver behind them. Sun used to being interrupted. The tree cares exactly the right amount. You learn that amount. Someone calls your name from far away. The wind carries it and also carries your answer, which is a smile more than a voice. The grove keeps the lesson in every leaf around you. Bend to keep from breaking. Bow to show how tall you are. Return to center to remember it exists. Your body memorizes in its oldest library. The muscles along the spine, the tendons at the hips, the small language at the base of the skull. When you leave the path, a part of you stays, rooted and swaying in weather that is always passing, always teaching. Night path, lantern in hand. The world close to your feet is amber and honest. Beyond the circle, a blue-black field where sight guesses kindly. Each step writes a small truth on the ground and seals it with light. Stones glow, then forget. The lantern does not reach backward. It has no opinion about what already happened. Still, as you walk, the past becomes visible in a different way, as if the darkness behind were a surface that accepts illumination only from things that have turned to face it. You lift the lantern a little. Its windowed sides catch a fragment of your face, a floating cheekbone, an eye made into a star. The glass throws your own light back towards you, and something in the chest understands the hint. You turn, not a dramatic pivot, just a slow, dignified rotation of attention. Behind you, The path you've walked is not a trail of errors or victories, but a string of beads, each the color it wanted to be at the time. Some bright, some bruised, all polished by weather you survived. Light runs a fingertip along the edges of those beads, and your body unbristles, one segment at a time. That place between the shoulder blades where the day's remarks lodge. The lantern visits, and they let go, dropping like burrs into underbrush. That knot behind the heart where regret presses. The lantern does not interrogate it. It stays near until the knot mistakes warmth for permission to loosen. That small muscle at the throat that holds back words long after they are needful. The lantern places its square of warmth there, and the muscle yawns. You walk forward again and notice how the lantern's front light and its back reflection are the same kindness sent in two directions. You do not need to swing it to catch more ground. The ground arrives at its pace. Feet become friends with the shapes on the path. Root like a sleeping snake, stone like a compact moon, a patch of sand that writes your step and erases it in one breath. The wrist holding the handle grows warm, the forearm grows light, shoulder unhooks from the jaw's old leash and drops into company with the ribs. Memories approach as wildlife approaches where light is trusted. First at the edges, then near, eye shine like coins. The lantern does not chase, it makes space. A hard moment pads into the circle, someone's sharp sentence, your own sharper reply, and sits. In this light, it is smaller, fur matted by travel, hungry more than cruel. You feed it presence. Its bones show, not to accuse but to explain. The moment dissolves without theatrics, leaving a ring in the air like heat fading from iron. On the path ahead, brambles thin. On the path behind, brambles do too. Somewhere in the curve of your brain that marks time, a habit loosens. No more dragging a sack of yesterdays past midnight. No more projecting a scaffold of tomorrows into the empty sky. The lantern shows one step, then one step, and in that one-step light the world becomes trustworthy. Knees balance precisely over ankles. Hips find their polite circles. The low back widens like a smile that stayed private. Wind passes, and the flame nods, ironwork throwing small shadows that lace your wrist. The nod is instruction. Agree with what moves through. Do not chase sun. Do not grieve night. Turn the lantern where you are, and let what needs seeing be seen. When you glance back again, the past meets the light, like someone turning toward the camera at the last second and smiling. Not because the scene changed, but because the gaze did. The road, kind either way, continues. You enter quietly, barefoot on wood worn round with living. The house curves, not a corner anywhere. Walls bend like the inside of a shell. The ceiling arches from every side toward a center, where sound gathers and mixes into a single sweetness. As you move, nothing arrests you. The eye glides. The hand finds no edge to bruise itself against. Even light refuses to be trapped. Shadows soften into gradations, turning right angles into invitations. In the first room, a low table sits like an island in a round sea. You circle it without thinking, orbit a moment, then let orbit decay into sitting. The body responds to this architecture at once. Shoulders that usually catch on 90-degree slide along curves. Breath follows the line. The chest becomes a dome. The back takes up residence in a cradle, designed by patience. The places that expect sharpness and brace, outer hips, jaw hinges, the little place between eyebrows, feel foolish and abandon their posts. Doors are arches, hallways are crescents. The floorboards run in arcs that teach the feet a new alphabet. Each step writes a C, an O, a gentle S, nothing angular. Knees approve. Ankles send up a petition for more of this, signed respectfully by all 10 toes. In the bathroom, even the mirror is round. Your face looks returned rather than captured. The mouth softens, remembering its original plan, to be an opening, not a line of defense. In the kitchen, shelves wrap the room like an embrace. Jars glow, the curve of glass catching sunlight in soft commas. Lifting a cup becomes a slow punctuation mark, a swirl and a stop, wrist unhurried. When you set it down, there is no corner for the sound to slap against. It dissolves into the room the way salt dissolves into warm broth. Sounds are gentle here because the house edits them kindly, removing the hard consonants of impact and leaving only the vowels of continuation. You wander. In the library, books nestle into curved bays like sleeping birds. Reading happens without the bargaining posture, no hunching, no guarding. You lean into a built-in that cups you. The spine arranges itself, uncoils, lengthens until it is mostly attention held up by the suggestion of bone. Words slip in as if the ear had grown on the page. When you close the book, nothing chops the experience at the corner of a wall. Memory floats into the next room as if it had been placed carefully on a round tray. The mind notices what the body already knew. With no corners, there is nowhere to hide and nowhere to be trapped. The thought that usually goes and sits facing the room, vigilant, critical, does not find its square stool. It curls on a curve instead and naps. The stray guilt that loves to back itself into a right-angled shadow cannot find a wedge. It skims the arc, loses momentum, and settles as dust does, without drama. The house is a lesson. Flow until friction can't recruit you. At the center, a circular skylight spills a quiet pool of day onto a low rug. You stand there and feel the architecture align bone and breath the way a hand smooths a page. Inhale, the ribs open like a wreath widening. Exhale, the wreath rests on a round table. Inhale, light lifts through the spine like a pillar inside a pillar. Exhale, weight spreads evenly in a ring through the feet. The heart, unboxed, seems to enjoy its new jurisdiction, sending out warmth in even circles. If you speak, your voice finds itself rounded as well, edges shaved to kindness, volume reduced without losing clarity. Someone answers from another room, and the reply arrives softened by curves, shaped like acceptance. You imagine arguments in this place and can't. Grievances have nowhere to point. Even a list here becomes a loop, returns to its beginning, and asks if any item still wants to be carried. Most do not. They fall off on their own along the gentle way. You lie down in a nook designed like an eyelid. The body fits. The mind agrees to be supported. The ceiling's curve pulls the gaze inward the way a cup draws tea to center. Breathing takes the shape of the house. Round on the inhale, round on the exhale. Small doorways of pause, neither sharp nor square, simply arcs that join. You do not need to forgive corners. They forgave themselves by not existing here. What remains is continuity. What remains is ease that accumulates because it can flow. Later, when you leave, the outer world returns with its angles and declarations. You feel the curves still in the body, the softened jaw, the wide-ribbed breath, the circular path of attention that refuses to get trapped at a single point. Every corner you meet seems less aggressive now, more like a suggestion. The house has taught you to round the moment from the inside, to turn sharpness into a bend, and to live in rooms that follow you wherever the body decides to be. Morning has not fully chosen a color yet. Air wears a pale grey blue that tastes like dew and thin sunlight. On the fence rail, a small bird arranges itself into readiness, feathers smoothed by a quick needle of beak. eyes bright like polished seeds, toes curled around the wood with the exactness that comes from being a bird every day. For a minute, the sparrow is a punctuation mark at the end of a sentence the sky has been writing all night. Then, the mark lifts, and the sentence becomes easier to read. The sound of departure is almost nothing. An exhale writ small, a paper whisper through leaves. Wings bargain with the air, and the air agrees. The little body rises, and the space around it seems to answer by growing lighter, not only above, but around the ribs of the world, a subtle untightening. The light steps closer to the edges of things. Corners forget their sharpness. Even the fence rail looks relieved of a duty it didn't realize it carried. Your own chest recognizes the cue. Across the collarbones, a thin, pleasant buoyancy gathers, like a hand laid gently beneath the sternum. Inhale arrives as if on a rope thrown from above. The upper ribs float a fraction higher, the side ribs part by the width of a quiet idea. Shoulder blades slide down and out like two oars stowed after a long river. The neck finds more sky. The face, which forgot it was allowed to, softens at the brow and lets the gaze sit back a little farther in the head. The sparrow is not far, only a few fence posts away from the place it was a moment ago, and yet the map underneath everything redrafts itself to include more sky. It is as if lift moves through the world, the way warmth moves through tea. The field learns it, the leaves learn it. The thin clouds, pale as milk, learn it, and thin farther. Breathing learns it most quickly. In through the nose, a rise in the middle of the chest that feels like linen being laid on a line. Out through the mouth, weight that drifts down through pelvis and heels without argument. With each small wing beat, the bird writes a new line in air, half circles, soft crescents. The body copies this script inside, on a scale you can live with. Inhale draws a crescent up under the ribs. Exhale folds it neatly and leaves it where the belly can rest on it. Breath begins to work like a kind pulley. Lift above, ease below, lift above, ease below. Nothing dramatic, nothing to prove. The lesson of smallness practiced with precision. The field holds a single yellow flower that figures itself into the morning without fanfare. Its thin stem sways and returns, sways and returns. You watch and discover the body enjoys this measure. The head floats as if suspended from a near invisible string. Not pulled, but invited. The jaw unhooks by a degree and finds a comfortable notch that opens the throat. The tongue spreads like a quiet lake. Shoulders stop negotiating and agree with gravity in a way that does not feel like surrender so much as good engineering. The sparrow climbs a little, then rests at a height that suits its heart. From there, it angles, letting air do more than half the work. You can feel the same bargain in breath now, less effort to gain the same effect. Inhale arrives with less insistence and more generosity. Exhale lengthens on its own, once it sees that it will be welcome. A thin ribbon of coolness touches the back of the throat and becomes a slow warmth in the chest. The warmth gathers behind the breastbone, then spreads across the collarbones, then down the arms until the wrists feel lighter than their bones. A car passes on a distant road, sound printed softly on the day. It travels away and leaves quiet larger than before. The sparrow answers with a near-silent chirr that somehow carries. The sound does not push, it shines. Your breathing does the same now. The lift of inhale becomes brightness rather than work. The settling of exhale becomes shadow rather than drop. Inside, light and shade trade places with ease. The diaphragm finds long, clean arcs, gliding as if it had been oiled by sleep. Feet on earth, crown in the sky. That simple line appears and simplifies everything it touches. Weight slides through bones into soil, but the rest of you participates in the moment's upwardness. The skin along the shoulders feels a draft of friendliness. The ribs at the sides widen as if to give the lungs a view. A small space opens at the base of the skull, and the neck breathes independently for a few cycles, pleased to be noticed. The sparrowbanks. A wing tilts, a decision made without friction. Within, attention tilts the same way, away from habit, toward allowance. A thought that wants to pull downward shows up and is greeted but not adopted. Another rises, lighter, and is greeted but not chased. Air moves in and out. The day shines. None of it needs commentary. Even your eyelashes feel less committed to holding anything back. The bird sets down, a brief dark punctuation on a pale branch, then lifts again. It does not hoard altitude, it uses it. Breathing copies the economy. The top of inhale is not a shelf you clutter with plans. It is a small balcony you step onto, look out from, and leave refreshed. The bottom of exhale is not a basement, it is a smooth landing. The next rise comes easily when the last descent was gentle. In the field, a breeze braids the grasses and leaves them stronger for the weaving. In the chest, air braids attention and ease. With each pass, the braid holds better, and there is less of you that can be tugged away by nothing. The body begins to memorize lift, not as strain, but as permission. The sternum invited forward and up by a breath width, the shoulder heads resting back, the back of the heart exposed to the sky without feeling vulnerable. The space under the clavicles becomes a porch where air likes to sit. The sparrow makes the sky seem lighter, and the sky makes the sparrow's work smaller. This partnership is how the morning chooses to happen. Your breathing enters the same agreement. Air completes what muscles begin, and muscles reduce until they are mostly attention measured in ounces. From the outside, nothing happens. From the inside, the day rises on a hinge made of feather and allowance, and holding yourself up changes from a task to a tendency. A second bird joins the first, then a third, and for a while they are commas on the line between roof and cloud. They trade positions and you can feel the same trading inside, the breath doing more, the mind doing less, the body doing only what it must, and being whispered to by light for the rest. When the birds drop into a hedge and vanish, the sky does not fall. It keeps the lightness they gave it. Your chest keeps the lightness the breath gave it. The fence rail continues its quiet job, relieved and steady. The morning is itself and you are part of it, slightly higher inside than before, enough to make space where tightness used to be. The path finds a river and crosses it. The crossing is a span of wood and iron built by people who understood the conversation between weight and air. From the approach, you can see the river's restless grammar. Commas where stones lift their heads, long clauses of smooth water, brief exclamation points of foam. Above that, the sky works on another page, rewriting itself in slow phrases of cloud. You step onto the bridge, and it receives you without dramatic announcement, the way a sentence receives a quiet word that fits. Underfoot, boards place a rhythm in your bones. Each plank is an invitation to notice where the foot meets the world. Heel kisses wood, weight rolls like a tide toward the toes. The arch lifts by habit and then by attention. Ankles edit their small compensations. Knees find their polite, unlocked angle. Hips accept the ballast of the day and redistribute it into the span. Your spine answers by rising, vertebra stacked like stones that trust the mason. You pause at the midpoint where the river is most itself. Rail at the hip, wind running a hand over sleeves, the low hum of the structure speaking softly of tension and truss. On either side, movement is the law. Water that never repeats its face, light that reconsiders what it wants to be with every second, the far bank where grasses lean and return. Beneath your feet, a stillness holds all this persuasion. The bridge does not argue, it allows. Breath takes the hint. Inhale arrives as a wide opening of internal windows. Exhale drops like a stone into a deep pool and disappears without splash. The place between them, top and bottom, becomes a short plateaus where you stand without effort. Shoulders register the message and stop trying to help with tasks that never belong to them. They slide back and down a measure. The trapezius unknots. The chest opens a museum of calm and invites air to stroll. Below, the river throws pieces of sky back to the sky, then hides them, then offers them again, as if practice is the point. Awareness does the same with thoughts. A history floats by, an idea, an unfinished line. Each reflection is seen, each passes, the mind a current that prefers not to snag. When something tries to stick, a branch of worry, a shape of regret, the still fact under your feet shows itself. Weight travels into the span. The span travels into the piers. The piers travel into the earth that has been waiting all along to hold them. The snag frees itself without your hands. A train crosses far away. The faint thunder reaches the metal in the handrail and hums into your palm. The hum enters your forearm, asks the elbow to soften, the shoulder to float, the upper back to agree with gravity. You let the hum complete its journey into the center of the chest, where it becomes a quiet warmth. The heart answers by lowering its shoulders inside its room. Pulse slows 9 beats, then 3 more, then decides it has found the tempo it meant to keep. Wind moves through the latticework and makes a soft instrument of the bridge. Low notes where iron meets iron, higher where wood speaks. The chord is minor and friendly, the sound of something fulfilling its purpose with grace. Your breathing chooses to tune to it. In through the nose on the long, low tone, out through the mouth on the higher. After a minute, you stop thinking in notes and simply let the body be an instrument that is played by what moves around it. Clouds travel. A handful converge, draft a shadow boat, and float it over the water. For a minute, the river darkens and gleams only where the surface turns to meet the sky. Then the boat breaks apart and the river brightens as if from within. The bridge is indifferent to these moods and remains a line you can count on. Inside, a parallel line declares itself, the unargued length of spine from tail to crown. You become aware of the sacrum as a smooth stone. Above it, the lumbar curve like a river bend. Above that, the thoracic like a span of gentled hill. At the top, the atlas and axis, a tabletop laid flat so the head can rest its bowl evenly. On that line, breath can move the way wind moves across a field, visible only where it gentles what stands. The thought of standing here forever drifts in and leaves again. Time is doing what water does. You do not need to do what time does. You allow the body to prove this by stillness practiced not as a contest, but as a courtesy. The feet settle more clearly, toes released, heels precise, arches alive and friendly. Shins are 2 quiet lines, knees moons in quarter phase, thighs inhabited by warm patience rather than effort, hips a wide shelf of trust, belly soft and alert at once. The back wide enough for 2 herons to land on without shaking, the throat a clear corridor, the jaw unlatched, the tongue lying down. A leaf meets the water, writes its signature, disappears into the many. A memory tries the same. It meets the breath, scribbles briefly, and blends into what already is. You watch without leaning forward. The impulse to lean settles into the span. The urge to fix what cannot be fixed walks itself to the end of the bridge and sits on a post and looks at sky until it remembers how to be sky. Toward evening, the light draws longer sentences. The bridge gathers them and gives them back, simple and unadorned. In your body, a similar editing process completes itself. The unnecessary clause of tension in the shoulders is struck through. The parenthetical jaw is removed without injury to meaning. The footnote of hurry dissolves. What remains is the sentence that was trying to be said all day. Stand where you are and be held. Water continues with its 1,000 opinions. You continue with one posture that contains many permissions. The wind changes its mind and returns with a different temperature, clean and faintly sweet. It enters the nose and travels the same path as before, finding it smoother, more generous, less eager to narrow. At the end of the exhale, there is a small interior pier. Stone you cannot see, strength you can rely on. You rest on it for half a moment. The next breath comes on its own. The bridge does nothing. That is how it holds everything. Footsteps pass behind you and fade. Somewhere, a bicyclist laughs once just to find out how sound carries here. The sound goes into the truss and out over the water, becomes a small ring, then nothing at all. A pair of swallows stitch the air under the span. The river takes their reflections and sews them into its fabric for 3 seconds, then rips the seam on purpose so the cloth can remain flow. Nothing asks you to move. You feel the exact place where stillness meets motion and say yes to it with your bones. When you finally turn toward the far bank, the bridge walks with you in what it leaves behind. An inner span laid across a river of moments, piers of breath set into ground you did not have to build, rails of attention that keep you from stepping off into old currents. The world keeps pouring in every direction. Your step carries a stillness that does not resist that fact. It is simply the steady in the middle of flow, the quiet that does not need to quiet anything, the part of you that stays like a bridge above a river that will never be the same river twice. Lamplight slows the room to a tender pace. You sit with a book that knows your hands, cloth binding softened by years of being lifted and put down, lifted and put down. The cover opens with the hush of a curtain. Inside, page after page of pale, generous paper. No print, no titles, no numbers marching the margins, only a field of possibility that looks as familiar as your own breath. The scent is paper and quiet linen, a little dust that remembers summer shelves. Your thumb rests at the bottom corner and feels the whisper weight of a single leaf of paper, thin as a sigh. You trace a line that no ink has drawn. The page receives the touch as if it had been waiting. Somewhere in the body, a line mirrors it. From the base of the skull down to the tailbone, a clean stroke, simple and kind. Inhale raises the sternum a little, the way a sheet lifts when someone shakes it once. Exhale lays that sheet down perfectly flat. The page shines with lamplight. The chest holds a small lamplight of its own, warming the space behind the breastbone. The ease grows, not loud, not quick, just a widening. You turn the page. The sound is leaf on leaf, a soft shore break. The blankness is not empty. It has texture, the faint pattern of pulp, threads of story woven in the making. You don't read here, you are read. The page notices how your shoulders lower a notch. It notices the neck find its natural length. It notices the hands forget their chores and become instruments of attention. Without letters, the page knows you anyway, and in that knowing, the mind loosens its grip, as if a bandage had come away and found the skin beneath whole. A ghost line of memory walks the margin. Someone's laugh from earlier, the shape of light on a table, the small animal of worry that made a burrow behind the heart. The page offers a warm plane. Under that warmth, the memory runs out of room to rush and lies down. You feel the effect in the ribs, more room between them, as if air had left a gift when it visited. In through the nose, cool, precise. Out through the mouth, warm, unforced. Each turn of the page is an exhale that completes itself. Blankness teaches by example. Without print, the eye stops scanning for trouble. It settles and meets what is there. Fibre, light, a few tiny specks that look like constellations no one needed to name. Sight becomes grazing, then resting. The forehead smooths. The small muscles at the outer corners of the eyes set down their tiny shields. The jaw lets the molars float half a thought apart, the tongue wide like a settled lake. The book holds the shape of story without making the mind run after it. The story answers by arriving as sensation, warmth pooled under the clavicles, weight evenly shared between sitting bones, a friendly heaviness gathering along the thighs. You turn, you pause, you breathe, and the sound of paper makes a rhythm that fits the body exactly. The spine of the book eases with each opening. Your own spine answers in kind, vertebra by vertebra stacking into an architecture that requires no bracing. Between pages, there is a moment like the top of the breath, no longer the last, not yet the next, fresh as a window opened a few inches in spring. That small window is large enough for sleep to notice you. It leans against the frame and waits with a patient smile. If a thought insists on letters, give it a finger's path. Draw a line across the blank, invisible as wind. Let the thought ride the fingertip and soften. It arrives as a child's scrawl and dissolves like chalk in rain. The page remains generous. The breath becomes simpler. 4 slow heartbeats up, 6 down. Then counting disappears, and only the tide remains. Palms warm against the paper. Wrists lose the last of their little guards. The shoulders hang like quiet bells whose ringing is softness. The paper catches light differently across its field. Thicker in the center where the lamp pours. Thinner at the edges where evening pools. Your attention does the same. Bright where breath is. Gently dim where muscles have gone off duty. The blankness is a mirror you do not fear. It returns only your capacity to be here. Each page is new and recognized, the way you recognize the sea even when it looks different each time. You do not need to choose what to read next. The hand knows. It lifts, turns, rests, a choreography older than clocks. The book begins to read the room. It hears the slow faucet in the kitchen, 2 small drips, then silence. It hears clothing settling into other clothing on a chair. It hears your breath flatten into silk. It collects these sounds the way morning collects dew, without effort, simply by being the kind of thing that holds. You become the same kind of thing. The mind stops arranging and starts receiving. The chest is less a cupboard, more a sky. By the time a few dozen pages have fallen from right to left, time has put down its clipboard. There is no plot to advance, only whiteness learning the shape of your evening, and your evening learning the shape of whiteness. The book is unwritten, and so are you for a little while. No assignment, no underlining, no margin notes. Only the soft impression of your hand and the memory the paper keeps of being turned by someone careful. The next page waits and does not ask to be chosen. The breath arrives, the page arrives. and the space between them widens until it is large enough to lie down in. On the sill, a bowl rests where light loves to visit. Earthenware, glazed to a quiet shine, the colour of creek stones under a skim of water. Its lip is a clean circle. Its body opens to the room with the unembarrassed welcome of something that knows its purpose. Morning, it holds birdsong. 3 notes, then a pause, then a rush of chatter that spills over and softens in ceramic. Noon, it holds the drip and hush of rain, each drop a small bell struck and swallowed. Evening, it holds the pale of moon, not light exactly, but the taste of light, a whiteness that makes edges kind. The bowl is empty and never empty. It is built to receive, and so it does, not by effort, but by shape. You sit where you can see it and learn its posture. The ribs become a curve instead of a cage. The lower back, the part that gathers hours like pebbles, spreads and warms as if a hand were placed there, palms steady, fingers quiet. The breath pours into the bowl of the belly and returns without splash. Inhale rounds the sides. Exhale settles them. No corners collect dust. Nothing gets trapped. A breeze carries in the last song of a daybird. The notes enter the room and make a brief home in clay. The bowl does not grip them. It lets resonance bloom at its base, rise to the lip, and depart. Your attention copies this, becoming vessel rather than net. Sounds arrive. Distant car writing a single line on the street. Pipe clicking as metal changes its mind about heat. A book cover shifting to a more comfortable angle. Each is held. Each passes. In holding, you are not busy. You are shaped to include. You place a fingertip softly inside the circle, not touching, only sensing the temperature of the air it gathers. Cooler near the sill where night presses, warmer where lamplight pools. You notice the same gradient across your chest, cool at the tip of the inhale, warm at the end of the exhale. You notice your ears adjusting, less hunting, more receiving. The little bones inside the labyrinth agree to ring only when rung. The jaw lowers by a millimeter, and that tiny distance feels like permission. At noon, rain might collect there, a thin silver sheet, and the bowl would hold it like a patient eye. Tonight it holds quiet shaped by ceramic. You feel the analogy in your palms, curves that would hold water if they needed to, but for now, hold warmth and ease. The wrists uncurl, the elbows rest in the angle that turns arms into gentle parentheses. Shoulders let the collarbones be the lip of the bowl, open, even, true. If the mind brings you a pebble, you can drop it here. Watch the circles travel out in the medium of attention and fade before they reach any hard edge. No edge, no lasting disturbance. A memory speaks once and then becomes texture. A plan makes a ripple and then becomes tomorrow's weather, not tonight's climate. The bowl teaches capacity without clutching, shape without sharpness, invitation without insistence. You listen to the room and hear how full it is, of air moving, of fabric breathing, of your own blood threading everything with a low music. The bowl listens with you. In that shared attention, your breath becomes a ladle, scoop of inhalation, pour of exhalation. Nothing kept that does not wish to stay, nothing withheld that wishes to move. The abdomen becomes round and kind, the back body blooms from scapula to sacrum, the front body warms like steeping tea. A moth might tap the glass, a paper soft heartbeat, and the bowl would catch that sound for a blink, then release. The mind learns to be a bowl by practice, catching, resonating, letting go. Even silence when it lands has weight here. It is bright as porcelain, warm as clay, fresh from sun. You see the moon's reflection slide across the curved interior and rest for a handful of breaths. The bowl is not wet, the moon is not contained. Still, light lies there and is held enough to be seen. The breath lies in you the same way, seen, held just enough, released without loss. Your hands rest on the belly, and the belly becomes another bowl. The spine's long curve is a handle you do not need but are happy to know is there. The chest is a second vessel, shallower, where the upper breath settles and lifts like a tide that knows gentleness. The throat is a narrow neck, open and clear. The face is a lid that does not close. The eyes grow heavy without hardening. Ears become round, inner shelves for sound to set itself on briefly before stepping away. The bowl on the sill keeps doing its anonymous work. It does not care what it holds because its nature is to hold. You sit with it long enough to sense that nature in rib and breath and palm. A quiet band hums across the collarbones. The back of the neck lengthens. The hips agree with gravity without surrendering dignity. The bowl is still there when you look away. The capacity it taught remains when no sound arrives. Space is now a thing you can feel, like weight or warmth. And the feeling keeps you as the night opens its larger vessel around the house, and everything inside it finds a place to rest. Someone once set out to find something that could not be pointed to on a map. They packed food and boots and a promise to themselves. Years passed. Roads emptied into trails, trails into footpaths, footpaths into lines of intention through grass. They came home with different eyes and said the mountain never appeared. And yet they were met by it in doorways and shadows, in laughter and in the cup put down just so. The pilgrimage did not depend on distance. Distance depended on the willingness to see. You stand in your own doorway with the easy weight of evening on your shoulders. The path is floorboards. The first shrine is the sink, water turning in the basin with its low song, a brush set just where it belongs. You turn to the window and the second shrine appears, square of sky, carrying late colour like fruit. The next is this chair, this book, this breath. Every threshold asks for the same payment, a little attention, spare change of the soul, no more than you can always afford. Footsteps begin not at the mat but in the chest. Inhale, steps into the room. Exhale, bows to the room and passes to the next. The map draws itself as you go, from rib to rib, from collarbone to collarbone, from the hinge of the jaw to the soft door of the throat. You are walking toward a place that does not move, and yet it keeps arriving. The path curves through the belly and across the hips, through the thighs to where weight meets earth. Each landing makes less sound than the last. Packlight. The day can be hung on a hook at the entrance. The hook is the instant you notice your shoulders and put them down. The staff is your spine held with precisely the amount of dignity that feels like kindness. Shoes are whatever the souls remember of softness. The companion is breath, steady, not talkative, good at choosing a pace that can be kept. The milestone is the moment the jaw forgets to help. You pass small altars without noticing you made them. The fold of a blanket squared by a lifted corner. The mug turned upside down so it can dry completely. The light switched off with a fingertip that cheers for darkness. Each gesture leaves a cairn along the road inside you. The cairn says, someone came this way, and it was safe, and they were helped by ease, and you will be too. The pulse at the wrist agrees, stepping down its staircase with calm shoes. If the mind looks for peaks, give it the hill of the inhale, and the slope of the exhale. Climb up with air, descend with release. At the top, a small view, the same room seen from an inch higher inside yourself. At the bottom, a meadow, ground soft, gravity honest, nothing to achieve. The pass between them is the doorway that appears between breaths. You stand there a second longer each time, without effort. The mountain's weather meets you, cool at the nostrils, warm under the sternum. You dress for it naturally, with softness instead of layers. The sacred meeting happens where the hand finds the pillow and knows, where the sheet lifts and the sheet settles, where the body finds the shape of rest it was designed for. The pilgrim inside you recognizes the lodge and makes no speech. Knees loosen their stories. Ankles stop looking for the next bend. The spine lays its length on the plane and offers it to gravity as a gift already accepted. The face turns toward whatever is most gentle and becomes more like it. The mountain finds you as the bed rises a ½ inch under the ribs, the exact countergift of being supported. It finds you as the tongue rests like a docile animal, as the throat clears passage without insistence, as the chest opens the window it keeps for night and invites the sky in. It finds you in the tiny widening behind the eyes, where day's pictures unhook and drift down like paper lanterns, extinguished one by one. It finds you when you do not leave to look for it. It prefers meeting you here, in rooms that know your footsteps. There are places in the body that required maps when you were hurried, tight turns at the base of the skull, detours around old effort along the shoulder blades, switchbacks at the low back. Evening smooths those roads. You feel your way with the soles of attention, unrolling the route inches ahead as you go. Breath keeps its lantern low, lighting only what is needed. You do not lose the way because there is less way to lose. The house becomes the path. The path becomes the resting place. If a thought insists on baggage, set it briefly on the floor beside the bed. You know where you put it. The mountain will guard it without judgment, and often light makes it smaller overnight. The vow you make tonight is simple: to remain within the easy reach of breath, to let the path come to your door, to count milestones by the loosening of small muscles rather than by miles. The muscles respond with gratitude that reaches the skin as warmth. Traveling without moving, you feel more of what is truly distance, the long stretch between tension and trust narrowing, the long path between effort and ease folding itself up, the long reach between wanting and having replaced by the closeness of being. At the threshold of sleep, there is a bell with no striker. You recognize its round, soft tone as the sound your steps make when they need no ground to prove their steps. You do not set an alarm on the sacred. It arrives as it always has, when conditions are hospitable, which is to say, when breath softens and the heart's gate opens and the body lies down and says yes without qualification. The pilgrim who never left sits down inside you and takes off their shoes. And the earth, which was always under the floorboards, meets those bare feet with the same love it gives the souls of mountains. The journey is generous. The destination keeps finding you, and you keep being findable by doing the smallest thing well, staying.